Hello, everybody, and welcome to Tombs of Scoria. Today, we have for you an excellent show. We have a Tyrael solo session. That month in October, where Nick was studying spells, Tyrael was doing some two-handed training, Anton was out on the Red Coast. Well, now we're going to take a look at that from Tyrael's point of view a little bit more closely. Are you ready, Tyrael?
I am super ready.
Excellent.
So just I guess for anybody watching, so the inspiration is that obviously there are two incredibly separate paths right now for kind of the brothers to take, and I just kind of wanted to explore that idea more with Tyrael to figure out which direction he wanted to take, because I really truly haven't decided that yet, and I don't want to like spend a whole bunch of time in an episode like doing a bunch of like internal monologuing or figuring that out with like two other people like trapped in a call. So I figured we'd just do a side session, get it all sorted out, and then I'll have a better understanding going forward of what the motivations and everything are going to be.
Mm-hmm. Great idea. So you are in Wicthron Lorenta, the capital Rekis, in the middle of the war. It is the month of October. One brother has gone to the Red Coast to investigate his friends and allies there. Another brother is off studying spells with Arksomber. And Tyrael finds himself training with the new captain of the guard, meeting up with his new companions, his fellow treasure hunters, and investigating a couple of things that are going to crop up. So I've got some stuff to start us with, unless you have something you want to do that you know about.
Sure. At the very beginning of the month, so we have lots of free time, right? Before we get anything super started, I would like to write. I want to lock myself up in my room, and I'm going to write maybe like 20 or 30 letters, and I want all of them to be some variation of like this text, basically. So I'm writing it to you just so you have it in writing, and then I'll read it out. Hello, I'm offering handsome compensation for some information related to the ongoing activities of the McGarry family. If interested, please return correspondence immediately to this address. Compensation and further instructions will follow. Do not alert anyone else to these communications, or all further contact will cease immediately and your life will be forfeit. I would like to write out these. I'm going to leave one to each of my people. I'm going to mail it from another address, and then I would like to do it to like 10 or 15 odd people in our household that's currently working with my mom, with the goal of seeing like who would return correspondence to like work with somebody else to fuck us over.
So you're sending information to all of your supposed allies, your closest allies, to see which ones are willing to turn on you.
And I'm gonna do 40 of these. And I'm gonna do, let me just check my character sheet. I'm gonna put 2 gold in each of these envelopes. Are you able to do you think that's possible? 2 gold in each envelope?
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
It's like sticking a couple of quarters in an envelope.
Okay, so I'm gonna write 20 of these, so I'm gonna delete 40 gold from my character sheet, so they think it's a serious offer.
Yeah.
Is there some form of like post office or like a name that somebody could leave an envelope to or whatever in a mailing place, or like a PO box kind of?
You can, yes, there are courier services. So you can just have the message to return to a courier service left for someone with a certain name, and then you would have like booked it in that name. So yes, totally doable.
Okay, yeah, then that's what I would like to do. I'll have like a common address that it could be mailed back to, so that there's some place that I can go in a few days or a week or whatever to check and see if anybody has returned correspondence. Yeah.
Okay. I think this is what we're looking for. Yeah. So you
on each of these,
you could ship these things out.
On each of these letters as well. Hold on. Let me just real quick, or maybe we don't have to do it completely. I'll include a line at the bottom like, if you are interested in this, when you return correspondence, address me by my name and then tell me that you're interested, and then we'll go from there. And each of these will have a different name signed to them, so that I know like who's returning correspondence. So I'll sign one like Andrew, Bravo, Charlie, Delta, whatever I'll have like 20 different unique names that I'll use on each, so that I know who's returning it, and then I'll write a list of these names down so I know which letters are going to which.
Makes sense.
Okay.
Very clever.
Gotcha.
Okay, and you said, let me write this list down of people you sent them to. You sent it to Who?
So it's going to be my 4 people. Vega, Hans, Sylvia, Benji.
Yep.
It's going to be Anton said that he brought back, I think he brought back 1 head priest to work out of Drekis. So it's going to be to that person. And then the 15 others are going to be, 1 is going to go to the old guy that we hired. A second one is going to go to the young guy that we hired. We hired an old like swordsman that is like a old captain of the guard or something. Then the younger guy that we did. And then the other 13 are just going to go to random people that our mother has hired to work at the house. So maybe a couple of her, she had a couple close guards, I think, that we gifted +1 swords to. And then like maybe random servants that are like the head of like the dining room team or whatever. Just like people scattered throughout my house just to kind of like look for weak links. Yeah.
Excellent.
So it's not going to go to like the one guy that cleans dishes, but it might go to the guy that like manages inventory for our household, and then the guy that manages right.
The servant that pours wine at the dinner table that hears all of your private conversations.
Stuff
and just
like that.
Is a wallflower.
Yeah.
Got you. Okay. You can send those out. It'll take a while to get to people. If they're going to respond, they'll probably take some time. So we'll check back in on this in a few in-game days. And this is a great place to start. Okay. So, very quickly, you're going to get not quite a letter back, but you will be approached by Hans and Vega one afternoon, a day and a half after you sent these out. They'll leave a mark for you on your wall of your house, because they don't want to like knock on your door and show up and walk in the front door and be necessarily seen with you. So they have a way of like leaving a rock on a wall visible from your window. And if there's like a rock on this specific other rock on this wall, that means meet up with them at their safe house and you guys have information to exchange. And when you go to meet them, which I assume you do, they will have their letters that you wrote to them on the table and say to you, well, Lord McGarry, we have an interesting development. It appears someone else is out to get you.
I nod my head. I mean, there's been an assassination attempt in the streets for us, of course. It seems as though you two were contacted. Do you have the original letters that they sent to you?
They tap the 2 letters on the table that look very familiar. You can see your handwriting on the surface of them, and say, there's a knight in town who's been causing some problems, asking some questions, looking around for things. I think he sent these. You might want to read what's in them.
Okay, I'll grab both letters. How are the...
just as you have them, the coins are still inside the envelopes.
How are the English lessons coming along for Sylvia and Benji? Or the Drekis lessons, I guess.
They're coming all right. You know, it's a little difficult chatting with people, but they seem like good folks. Their eyes are a little wider than we would have expected. I don't know if they've ever been inside of a major city before or what the hell life is like on the other side of the ocean, but they're doing okay.
Yeah, hopefully life here is better than it was across the sea. That place was miserable.
I believe you.
I greatly appreciate both of you bringing this to me. It means a lot, really. Thank you very much.
Don't you want to know about the knight who wrote them?
Yeah, if you have more information about him, sure.
Well, he's been around town for a little while now, asking about. You'd mentioned someone was following you, all invisible-like, and you needed us to keep an eye. Well, in the process of keeping an eye on random invisible followers, we spotted this knight, not quite trailing you, but like trailing someone who was trailing you. Switched out a couple of the leads, but he was always about a half a block behind, peering around a corner. I think... No offense, Lord Tyrael, but I think you might have relieved him of some of his prized possessions once upon a time.
A knight?
He's been...
Wait, let's just understand. A knight is following the person following us, or this is just another person following us?
No, I think the knight has hired someone to follow you and is then following that. When you follow someone, sometimes you need like a lead and then a follow behind that, and then you switch positions, so it's not the same person always behind you. He's got some people trailing you and he's trailing them, so he can keep an eye on you and see what's going on. He's been spreading some interesting rumors around one of the taverns downtown.
What kind of rumors are these?
McGarry families just like their namesakes, bunch of thieves and criminals, taking possessions off of sovereign knights, that sort of stuff. But never to anybody, really in the know.
What kind of possessions? Well, excuse me, what kind of possessions does he say we've taken? Where is he spreading these rumors at? Where does he spread these rumors? At what time?
Spreads them in the tavern when he's done with the day. So evening, we can take you to the tavern. It's called the Cup and Sword. And he talks about you stealing sword that's been in his family for a few generations from him.
Interesting. Anything else?
Yeah. We've talked to him a little bit, one table over, leaning in drunkenly, asking what's all this McGarry stuff about. He claims that the three of you are essentially liars who didn't slay any dragons and are profiting off of the good name of some other hero because all you actually do is pretend to hunt things and then steal things from people. And he says he's got it on the word of a cleric that this is the truth. So there's that. He hasn't talked to anyone too high up and mighty. He's been hanging out in one of the merchant class taverns.
Have we killed the brown dragons yet, or does that happen after our month? I think that
happens after the month. Yeah.
Okay.
You've killed one some time ago.
Azeron.
Yeah, but you also killed one brown dragon a while ago.
Yeah, that was long. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. And this man has been spreading these rumors every night?
Well, we don't follow him every night, but the few times that we have kept a closer eye on him, he's been fairly open with his disrespectful tone. I didn't know if you wanted us to make the problem go away, or if you had some more information, something else you wanted to do. We've just sort of been keeping a bit of an eye on him and didn't think it was that much. There's always rumors. There's always someone who's been wronged who's going to spread lies, and there's nothing you can do about that. You track these people down and kill them. It only helps,
I shake my head and I cut him off. I raise my hand to cut him off. No, not anymore. There are to be no random people dragging the McGarry name through the streets. I appreciate you bringing this to my attention. If you hear people that are bringing our name out into the streets, I need you to inform me immediately, and that's going to stop immediately. There will be no more rumors. There will be no more small talk. Anybody that is out here spreading lies about my family is going to have to confront those lies, and I intend to make this night confront them tonight. Do appreciate you guys telling me this, but I also, in the future, want to know if you hear other people that are dragging my family name through the streets.
Sure, they just didn't have that, that lying quality. The story wasn't over the top. It was actually pretty solid and well detailed, had that grain of truth to it.
That grain of truth that we didn't kill any dragons? Do you believe this to be true? That we merely travel from land to land?
I mean, no. That part seems pretty solid. But the theft of a family heirloom, magical sword and stuff. Anyway, we can show you to the Cup and Sword, but you live here, so you probably know the way already.
Of course, I nod. Tyrael flashbacks in his brain to how did we steal that sword again?
It's been a long time. I don't even remember. I think it's been as long in game as it has been out of game.
Okay. I don't remember. I want to say we just stole it in the middle of the night. We just went in and I think took it out of his room or something. However, that sword is now buried in our family, in our stock. We haven't given that to anybody or done anything, I believe, as well. That's just sitting inside of our. So it's not like it's out anywhere.
Right, you're not carrying a rose blade on you anymore, are you?
No. We had one rose blade that we gave to somebody else, but it wasn't the rose blade that was stolen. We should have one in our. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Fuck this guy. Okay. Got it. Anything else you'd like to update me on?
Well, just that he's sending out these letters now. I think his intelligence gathering technique is beginning to expand. That's why we thought it might be worth your attention.
Understood. Are you certain that it's him sending these letters and not another party?
He's the only person we've noticed spreading lies and information like this. He's the only enemy of yours we've been able to get our eyes on. Could be someone else. It's just most likely to be him.
I understand.
We can check on the courier service, ask them some questions, see who it was that originally wrote these. But that'll take a little bit of time and finesse. Got to get to know the owner of the courier service's family a little bit, see what his weaknesses are, and what points of leverage we can find. They don't typically give up the names and descriptions of their of their clients very easily.
I understand. That won't be necessary. I'll dig around a bit tonight. My brothers have a few spells that I can use to track down that kind of information. It's probably better not to draw attention to ourselves, so. Thank you once again for the information, and yeah.
Whatever you say, boss. Okay. You can depart from your companions.
So as Terrio leaves, so I have a huge problem. Very much want to believe that, I think this has always been like a big kind of or it's now a big contradiction in Tyrell's life, is in the beginning, he was in kind of a noble family, but it was kind of shit, but he learned the ways of the rogue from his uncle, thievery, trickery, all of these things that are not very noble. But now his family name has climbed and climbed and climbed, right? So his family is pretty prestigious. But the problem is that a lot of this happened on the backs of this like thievery shit. So Tyrael really wants to confront this guy and be like, hey, fuck you. Like, but he's kind of right. And that really bothers. So there are parts of me that really hate Vega and Hans and what they represent. Just that's like an internal feeling that Tyrael has as he leaves the hideout or whatever, I guess it would be. Yeah.
Because they represent the part of you that has been doing all of these thieving and stealings and working in the underworld.
Yeah, basically, yeah. And they know it. They're smart. They're not stupid. It sounds like from the tone of the conversation, they figure that we've probably stolen things from before. Vega would obviously think that. I've traded a lot with him in the past, so.
Yeah, you guys have dealt in this sort of merchandise, and you've asked him to steal things from people, and yeah, it's pretty clear.
But now it feels like one of those things where the king or queen assumes power and then they immediately kill all of the people that helped them in the past because they don't want to be reminded of what they had to use together. Yeah, it's just that those kinds of thoughts are thinking, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, he leaves with the intention of tonight we'll be confronting that guy in a bar. Yeah, in a tavern.
Okay. Well, you can make your way to the Sword and Cup. Did you want to do that right now, or did you want to wait until dusk?
I'll wait until dusk when I feel like most likely would be in there. Yeah.
Yeah. You wait till dusk. You head over to the Cup and Sword, and why don't you give me a charisma check as you arrive?
I'll do that. On my way over. So I'm going to be carrying with me. I'm going to be pretty particular about this. I don't even need to change my sheet right now, or maybe we'll later, but I'll have on one of the suits of blue dragon armor. The green dragon armor right now is with the elves, I think, because we're getting them to try to enchant it with the +3 from the chainmail. So I'll be wearing a suit of blue dragon armor. I'll have my 2 swords at my side, the +5, the moonblade, and then the Harbinger, okay. Harbinger, but I will be wearing a full cloak. So not a cape, but like a full cloak to cover my entire body.
Right.
Yes, I very specifically will not have the bag of holding on me. I don't know if you remember this or not, but that was one of we stole 2 things from it. It was that bag of holding and okay.
And the rose blade, yep.
Okay. And then I will go to the bar. Yeah.
Yeah, and where's that charisma check?
Oh yeah, charisma check.
Yes, you will recognize the knight here. Your eyes go across the tavern floor from face to face, table to table, and as you do your second loop around, you catch the guy as he turns in profile. You recognize the sort of crooked nose that he had on him. He still has, I suppose, and the big bushy eyebrows. And
I'm gonna
quickly
be.
then.
Well, my goal is to be a little bit nondescript. I want to be kind of like sitting in the corner because I want to see if this guy runs his mouth again at night. That's kind of my goal.
Yeah. So you can find a spot here in the tavern. I'm going to bring us on to a map so we can get some semblance of an idea of how we are sitting. And then I guess I will just grab some random token for the night. He is seated. Where is a reasonable night token that's not too ridiculous? Here we go. That's not too ridiculous. He's going to be seated right at this table on the corner, on the edge.
Okay.
And I think you, when you came in to look, came through this side door and kind of glanced around the room. Actually, if that was the case, then he has to be facing the other direction. So he must be seated over here. And when he turned to talk to someone across the tableway or to shout at a passing waitress, you caught his face in profile.
Okay. I'm just gonna kind of sit and, I guess, eavesdrop then to listen in.
Sure. Where would you like to position yourself in the room? These side benches you can sit at, or you can sit at one of these communal tables. They're, the whole place is filled with folks. There's people going up and down the stairs to the bedrooms above. There's people in the kitchen. Waitresses going to and fro.
I'll probably be sitting
busy area.
Corner here, where he'd be least likely to recognize me, though I imagine it's pretty crowded as well, so.
Yeah. Cool. So you can sit here and order some food, have some drinks. A little bit of time passes, and you begin to overhear in one of the lulls a conversation from this table. A group of 3 dwarves have sat down here. Some sort of merchants. They've all sat side by side directly across from him. Just happened to be the only open spot. And pretty quickly, you can hear the dwarves start jabbering on about dragons and dragon slaying, and the guy across from the table leans in and goes, "You don't get it. McGarry's didn't do that. There's someone else out there, someone stronger, someone who knows what they're doing that's killing those dragons. McGarry's are just a front." And the dwarves lean in more deeply and say, "Really? Tell us more, lad." And the guy begins to say, "Well, I don't know who's actually doing it, but it's definitely not that loud, a bunch of drunken louts. You know anything about their family? Let me tell you about their family." And he goes on to accurately describe some of the less favorable aspects of your family. The fact that the existing queen had to bail you guys out of essentially like debtor's jail, that there was a house bought in your name once your mother joined with the family, the gambling debts your family has been in, these like shady connections that have happened, a couple, like some grandfather who had died under really mysterious circumstances, yada, yada, yada.
Do I know anything about this guy and his family? Is he like a well-known noble family at all, or?
This night, no.
How old is he?
He was just some dude. He's in his late 30s, early 40s. Yeah. You found out that he had this magic item, and I don't think you looked too closely at the rest of his family, and you didn't recognize the name.
Yeah, okay.
Before that, so
He's not super well. I don't have any dirt that I would like embarrass him with anything. It's kind of what I'm, but there's not any well-known scandals. Okay.
Can't have a well-known scandal if you're not a well-known family.
True. As I hear him running his mouth, I guess I will kind of like move my way through the bar, and I will take a seat right over here. Is there an empty chair? Is there a place for me?
Yeah, there's the 3 dwarves on the end, and then there's somebody, and then an open chair, and then another person. So, boom. There you go.
I'll take a seat.
You have a seat.
I will look forward, not looking at anybody in particular. I'll take a long drink of whatever beer I'm saying, or whatever beer I'm drinking, and I'll just kind of speak loudly in front of me. I hear that as knights age, the only thing they have left are stories. Does anyone know if this is true?
The knight pops up his head and looks over in your direction and says, "Was that a comment directed at me? Because I don't see any other knights around here."
I look at him, and I look around a bit, and then I say, "I see barely a knight before me. With what confidence do you possess to slander the name of me and my family so much?" And I kind of sit up a little bit, and I imagine people could see my face. They should know who I am. Should see who I am.
Yeah, the dwarves across from the guy, blatantly, openly staring and looking back and forth, watching the spectacle. The person between you and the dwarves uncomfortably gets up with a half-eaten plate and half-filled cup and just walks to the next table over. The person on your left side just crosses their fork and knife over the dish and get up and heads out the door. The people on the knight side of the table sit there still, and the knight glares at you and goes, You're Tyrael McGarry. You're the knave that stole my family's heirloom. You're the person who's been gallivanting about, trying to pretend that you're a dragon slayer. What is that, scale mail with paint on it?"
I stand and I shed my cloak. I would hope that in the intimacy of the room, it should be quite apparent that the armor is real. And I will ask him, I will charge him, "Sir, you say that another person has provided us with this armor. If it's not me and my brother slaying these dragons, why don't you tell everybody here who's doing it? Stealing items from you? Stealing valor from other soldiers? You make many charges, knight."
He gets to his feet. "You stole my family heirloom sword and the bag of holding I lost a friend getting.
As he says that,
And you returned them to me."
I will draw my sword in a semi-threatening manner. Hopefully the sword glows faintly in the bar, not enough to emit a functional form of light, but enough that people can see the sword glowing. And I will say, "We pried this blade out of a 1,000-year-old statue in a land that was covered with hundreds of demons clawing at our boots. Does this sword look like anything that any loser in your family could ever come by? Tell everyone here now if this is your blade."
"That's not my blade," he says to the room. He's already at his feet. But that
I
doesn't
wait
mean
for him
you
to talk, and
didn't
then I
take it.
cut him off, and I throw the sword to the table, and then I draw from my second holster. I draw Harbinger, which should look pretty weird, I would imagine. This is a sword that we traveled the oceans for, and this sword exists only to slay dragons. And I throw that sword to the table. Does this look like the sword that your family possessed?
No.
I shed my cloak completely, and I drop it to the floor, standing in my blue dragon armor, adorned with my, 10 magical rings. Only 2 are functional, of course. My amulet of health. With my bulging muscles, my girdle of strength empowers me as such. And I ask him, "Do you see a bag of holding on me? Do you think I would leave such a bag in my house anywhere? I ask you, knight, you make many a charge against me. Do you have any evidence for any of these claims? That I, Tyrael McGarry, stand before you as a fake dragon slayer who steals swords from families beneath his?"
"I see no bag of holding on the son of the disgraced queen and the drunken lout."
"Perhaps we should let the gods decide." I pick Harbinger up, and I sheath him, and then I pick my sword up, my moonblade. I say, "I challenge you. If you wish, we can have a duel out here in the streets right now and settle this. Otherwise, I must demand that you stop dragging my family's name through the streets. I understand that you have nothing going on in your life, such that you feel the need to tell these stupid tales in taverns in order to get an audience, but I don't appreciate that my family has to suffer for cheap entertainment for you and your loser friends."
"I may not have an aunt who is rich and powerful and can buy me pretty fancy weapons. I've learned the hard way how to make my way in this world. And I know that there is no glory to be gained by either of us here today. Either of our bloodshed here in this tavern or in the streets would only weaken the great kingdom of Drekis. And I am here for the people of Drekis, not my own personal agenda, not my own self-aggrandizing plans and plots. No, I won't sully the streets with your blood tonight.
I want to look to the room to get a general sense of where the people stand, and I'll make a call out. Well, I don't know. This man seemed to say many a negative thing about my family. He claims that I have a brutal sword painted. He claims that my armor is false, designed maybe by a clothier down the street, and not actually made of the scales of a dragon. Sounds to me as though this man is afraid. I need to get a general sense of, are they on my side? Do they feel like this guy's talking shit? Or are they on his side? Do they feel like I'm like grandstanding and being arrogant?
Very good question. Well, most of the people here are merchants, they're travelers, they go far and wide, but they're also purveyors of news. They pick up every little bit of information they can, and everyone's been talking about the McGarry family, the dragons they've slain, Azeron's head, with all its blue scales, is out on the castle wall. And here you are, wearing armor from the same exact type of blue scales on Azeron's head. You've got two fancy-ass magical swords, and even if your aunt is the queen, no one's going around giving out, incredible, amazing magical swords to people who aren't actively involved in some sort of, kingdom-helping thing. So the general consensus of the people around here is that Tyrael is right. He's this dragon slayer. We all know that. And this knight's about to get his fucking ass kicked. So people move away from your table a little bit more to stay out of the range of fire, except for the dwarves, who are happy to be seated right here in the middle of the back and forth banter. You can see a lot of approving eyes in your direction, lots of head nods, and a couple of raised fists in solidarity.
Okay, then I stand and I kind of hold my sword towards him after making essentially my call out, saying that my armor looks fake, my sword looks fake. He should want to embarrass me in the streets then to regain his lost reputation.
He's already at his feet. He draws his blade and tosses it on the table. Have another one of my swords then, Tyrael McGarry. But your day will come. My time will come. And when all the cards are down, the truth of who you are shall be revealed. And giving you his sword, he storms angrily up the stairs.
I will sheathe my blade. Does his sword appear magical?
No, it is some common arming sword that he must have replaced his family heirloom with.
I will sheathe my moon blade. Do people learn how to do it in cool ways? Can you make a spectacle of it? Probably not. That's an anime thing.
Totally.
I'll sheathe my blade. I will hold his up. I will look at it. I think you hold it out, manage the balance of it. I've seen people do this in shows. I don't know if you do that. Yeah. And I'll set it back on the table, and I will speak to myself, although quite loudly. This sword is as worthless as the man's name, and I will leave the bar.
All right. You head on out. As you leave, you can hear the dwarves clamoring to get the sword and shouting, "No, it's mine! My hand touched it first!" And arguing over, who gets to take a look at it and play with it first. And you can exit the bar. The knight went upstairs. He must be on the second or third floor because there's 3 stories here. Yeah.
Okay.
Off home?
Yep.
Done with the guy? All right. Okay. And you can head home for the night, leaving the man in his public humiliation and hopefully to not bother you again.
Hopefully.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Alrighty. Now we are going to do another one. The next thing to happen is going to be a couple days later. You are going to get another roll on your thief followers table. Actually, that's not the right track for us. It should be this one. Okay. would you please roll me a D100?
Do I want to roll low or high, or does it not matter?
I don't think it matters. It's just a distribution. It is a human thief, and roll me a D8, please.
Low or high?
High.
This is for level?
Yeah.
Okay.
Randomizer. So, a few days later, you will be met by a knock on your door, your front door. Your servants will open it. One of them will come and get you. And your servant will tell you that there is a man downstairs hoping to speak with you. Someone that the servants don't recognize. A gentleman in his 50s, sort of tall and slender.
In his 50s, you said?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I open my eyes, I shrug my shoulders. Hello, how can I help you?
Man gives you a stiff and formal bow, and with a thick Eridonian accent says, "You are Lord Teal McGarry, are you not?"
The one and only.
My name is Montem. I have come from the ruins of Eridon by way of servitude in Matava, only to be freed and make my way here to the capital of Drekis, the last free country in Arcadia. I have come with an offer of allegiance and servitude to you. Takes a
Eridon,
knee in the doorway.
is that the place to the northwest with the monks that we got the armor from?
No, that's Akuba. Eridon is the kingdom that fell to demons.
Oh, to the northeast.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I nod. How did you hear about us? Obviously, I'm gonna have to ask you a few questions if you'd like to work in my employ.
He remains in his kneeling position in the doorway to your house. Rumor has spread far and wide of the dragon slayers and the demon slayers. We have heard this is you. I have heard this is you and your brothers. I have served many a noble, many a baron over my many years. I would like to be of service to a new family, one who can provide for me and for whom I can provide my services and skills.
I nod to him and I ask him, just wait one moment, I'll be back. I'll head inside, I'll grab a piece of paper, a quill, and I'll jot down the address of my current area where my thieves are staying, I guess my hideout. And I will direct him there and I'll say, when you reach this area, knock and ask for a man named Vega. Tell him that Tyrael sent you. And they'll find out if you have what it takes to work for me. And if so, I welcome you to our small family. Otherwise, I suppose we'll cross paths at some point in the future.
He gets up, takes a look at the piece of paper, regards your face for a moment, gives you a brief curt nod, followed by a stiff bow, whirls on his heel, his cloak flailing about behind him, and heads off in the direction of the address you gave him.
Okay. Before this night ends, I'll go back to that hideout and I'll talk to Vega and Hans. And since they're not really working on anything this month, their job will be to kind of vet him, I guess, to do background research on him. Maybe give him small tasks, see if he's capable of doing it, and then,
Yeah. So you want to talk to him before. You want to talk to Vega and Hans before Montem arrives?
It doesn't have to. He can get there. He can tell them that I sent him. Either they'll call for me or they'll have him do small stuff or get him kind of situated, and then I'll just show up tonight as long as it's the same day. Yeah.
Yeah. So when you show up, they have already spoken with the man. They are here with your other companions. the ones who are still learning Dracissian and can't really join in this conversation for the short time. And they'll let you know what they talked with this Montem guy about. Montem claims that he is from the town of Anvil, where he worked for the Baroness there as a... Well, you know, he didn't really say what his job was. He said he was a fixer of things. I got the impression that he made people disappear. That he... a fixer, I guess, is the best term for it. It's hard to get any background on him, though. Eridon's pretty far away. Anvil's fallen. All the people that might have known him in that time are gone. And then he said he spent some time in servitude in Matava before escaping. So his background's pretty sketchy. I don't know if we can ever get any details on it. But he's formal. He's got a noble accent, so he comes from either aristocracy or spent a lot of time with them. And his hands are fast.
Why not? I say, well, I guess regard him with great care and see if there's any work you can find for him. And maybe we'll see if we can grow to trust this man. If so, we've found another companion. If not, then we'll just send him on his way and he can find work elsewhere.
All right, will do.
Are all 5 of my followers humans? Human, rogue, fighter?
I think so.
Okay, so I'm sure. Good, yeah.
Yeah. Vega and Hans will obey your orders. They will pledge to keep an eye on this guy, see if he actually has, if he's got his shit together, if he's worth bringing into the fold or not, and then they'll report back later.
Okay. This is night 2?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll just kind of casually ask Vega and Hans, Sylvia and Benji, how are they on their writing? Can they read well yet, or no?
No, because they've only been back for like 4 days, because we're rolling back in time a little bit. So they're
because they just came back here. Okay, gotcha.
They just arrived, yeah.
Because Vega and Hans approached me immediately about the letters. Sylvia and Benji have not, but it might just be that they can't read, or they are, we'll see.
Yeah. They probably just have a pair of letters next to them somewhere that they can't read yet, or maybe they've given them to their instructor to read.
Maybe.
To them. Who knows?
Okay. Oh, I guess when Vega and Hans return those letters to me, I'll verify those were the 2 names that were sent to Vega and Hans. Yes?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes, they were
Gotcha.
definitely the ones that were sent.
Okay.
Gotcha. Okay. I think this is a good spot for our first break. While I review my notes and set up our next section.
All right. We will be back.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Tombs of Scoria. The next day, you are alerted during your breakfast time by your mother that there has been a bit of a problem. And she will hand one of these letters over to you. One of the letters that you sent to one of the older footmen who have been with you, the guy who pours your wine at dinner time. I say older, like he's been with the family longer, but he's actually still a fairly young lad.
Sure.
He's only like 23, 24, but he started working for your family when he was like 13 years old.
Okay.
So he's been here a while, but he's still fairly young. And your mother slides this letter to him that you had written across the table at breakfast time when none of the other servants are in the room. She says, well, look at this.
I take the letter and I open the letter and I read through it. And then I close it. I set it on the table and I look to my mom, shrug my shoulders.
Paulo received this in the mail this morning. He brought it to my attention immediately. I think we have some enemies. It might be time to go get your brothers. I guess Anton is away, but we should grab Imric whenever he wakes up.
I shake my head. I love you very much, Mother. You said you wanted the responsibility of running the estate. and it seems as though prying eyes trying to gain access to our estate is probably something that falls directly under the purview of your job. What do you suggest we do for this? Pretend that this happened and me and my two brothers were away on another continent. How would you handle this situation?
She sits down, sips some of her watered-down wine that she has with her morning breakfast, considers the question for a little while. Well, the first task would be to see if any of our other servants have received letters like this. Then we would need to find who sent them. If we can track down the courier who delivered these letters, perhaps the servant who answered the door would know. We might be able to find who sent them. I don't think anyone would turn down such a request from our family at this point in time. And from there, it depends on the information we find. Perhaps this is muckrakers, who we would only serve to give more attention to by making a big deal of it. Perhaps these are enemies of the state, and the matter should be handed over to the queen. Or perhaps they are personal enemies. I know not everyone in our family has always been the most noble of soul. It is possible that there are people out there who have a rightful claim to hate us or to wish to see ill of us. And those we can maybe perhaps persuade that times have changed and the McGarry family is the hope for all Drekis. Or perhaps we'll have to see justice met on the side.
I nod, considering everything she says. Well, it sounds to me like you're plenty capable enough of handling this. You seem to have a plan of action, you seem to have a goal, and you seem to have the means and tools necessary in order to take care of this. So, it seems as though you can deal with it on your own, probably without bothering either of my two brothers. Yeah?
I'm gonna give her an intelligence check here, but I don't think
Intelligence check for what? I'm not trying to trick her.
No, you're not trying to trick her, but an intelligence check to see if to notice that this is maybe like a leading conversation where you are to see if she can tell that you have some sort of agenda here. She does not pass it. She takes what you have to say.
I guess
nods her head.
I'm not trying to be discreet. I'm like trying to lead. Like it's not like I wouldn't hope it's a check. I'm kind of implying that like she needs to be able to take care of the matters at the house without relying on me or my two brothers. That this is her job. She asked for this responsibility. Yeah, I'm being a little coy about it, but I'm being pretty forward. It's not supposed to be right. When I ask like, well, what would you do? Oh, good job. See, looks like you can take care of these problems. It's like when a kid gets frustrated with their homework and you're like, oh, see, look, if you just spend a little effort, you can figure it out on your own. You don't need to cry to your parents for it. Yeah, except this is crying to her children. Yeah.
Right, this is more of a, though, like a, did you send these Tyrael sort of check, which she does not notice.
Yeah, fuck that.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, but I'll tell her.
She could be clever, but she wasn't in this situation.
I think there's going to be plenty more people that are going to be eyeing us, whether for our treasures, whether for our name, or whether for our position in the kingdom. And I think it would be good if you're able to handle these situations on your own. You seem more than capable. I'm impressed with everything that you've done over the past few months. And I would hope to see you continue to be able to hold on to that position. That sounded more threatening than it was supposed to, but we're not going to get another mom. But.
Okay. Servants come in. She changes the conversation topic to the arrangement of the flowers and rugs on the upper floor of the new house, as long as the servants are around. And once they clear the plates and the dishes and go back to bring out the crumpets for dessert, she switches the conversation back again. I think that is a wise idea, Tyrael. If one of our servants got this letter, I'm sure it has been sent out to many of our friends and family members. It appears that I should be making the rounds and chatting with our closest friends and allies to see where these people stand. I may need to call upon a favor from you for this, but give me some time to work out the details.
Okay, I nod. I will. I'll produce from my cloak the list that I had written down earlier. I wrote down each of the names of the people and the names that they'd be responding to. And I'll slide the list over to my mother. And I'll tell her, these are the servants that you should expect to return letters to you. Anybody that doesn't, I would treat them as though they are a thief or a murderer or somebody looking to make money off of backstabbing our family. Sorry if this feels a bit underhanded, but you must understand. Has the assassination attempt happened yet? Was that like on the day 1 or 2 when we got back, or?
That was the day that you arrived back.
Cloaked assassins are making attempts for our lives on the street. I worry not only for me and my 2 brothers, but I worry dearly for you as well, Mother. Sent some letters out to some people to see who's trustworthy and who's not. Hopefully everybody on this list returns a letter to you. Whoever doesn't, I'll defer to your judgment for how you wish to deal with them.
I see. Clever, my son, very clever.
I'll nod and
She
stand.
mutters to herself. Once breakfast is done, she will get up and start making the rounds of the house, making sure everything is in order.
Okay.
Okay.
Can I go?
That night.
I was going to say, I don't know if I'm actively checking just the post to see if anybody has returned or taken up any of these offers yet.
No, not yet.
Okay.
Not today. But tonight, when you return home, you will be informed that 2 servants were let go from their employment here. One of the new footmen, who was hired just weeks ago, it seems, a man by the name of Grindle, he has been let go because he was given one of these letters, or sent one of these letters, and not only did not present it to your mother, but also denied having received one.
Okay.
And your mother's oldest handmaid, a woman that's been with her for 30 years now, and has served by her side, helping her get dressed practically every morning for the last 30 years. Also, did not present such a thing, but when was confronted with it, couldn't keep her poker face, and it was obvious that she had received such a thing. In both situations, your mother decided that, well, in the first one, he's new. He doesn't know enough to be a danger at this point. It's better just to get rid of him. As for the other one, she's been around for a long time. She's essentially family. She's been with your family through hard times and through good times, through pretty much everything. She's been very close with your mother. She knows more about her than you might even consider yourself to know about her. And your mother couldn't bring herself to see the woman fall from grace. And so she sent her packing with a small gift that should allow the woman to peacefully retire and not have to spill any sort of information. So forgiveness and bribery for the one, and then just dismissal for the other.
And I'll ask, so has she told me this, or do I find this out? Are we having like a small meeting later at night about this?
You'll find this out, yeah. Your brother's off studying, your other brother's on the Red Coast. When you come home from whatever it is you do that day, she is waiting for you in one of the parlors, has you come in, and has a servant shut the door once you've entered. So it's just the 2 of you, and she explains what happens.
Gotcha. I nod and I ask her, so I'm curious, Mother. It's not beyond the realm of possibility that there are many eyes looking to us right now, searching for any vulnerability, any weakness. Do you think it wise to take someone who would betray our family and send them packing with a handful of gold? What kind of a message do you think that sends out to those that would otherwise harm our family given the opportunity to do so?
Loyalty is difficult to gain. The most surprising acts can be the things that bond 2 people together. Compassion in a time where wrath might be warranted is a surprisingly good motivator and a purchaser of loyalty. Thera has been with our family for a very long time. She is aged at this point and is unlikely to find employ in another family. She knows much about us, enough about us that our only options are to either forgive her and let her go or end her life. So we can be the family who will not forgive you if you betray us, but that also makes us the family who will kill our closest friends at the slightest problem. I figured, for our time at the moment, it is better to be thought of as kind in spirit and firm in hand, rather than full of wrath. Your brother, my son, is already giving us enough of a reputation of wrath and vengeance and anger. It is probably good if we can balance that out with a softer, more tempered persona. And Thera has been with us since just a few years after you were born. I could not see to be the cause of her death.
I nod. I consider it for a moment, and then I say, I understand what you're saying, Mother. I'll only say that I spent more time than I cared to with my uncle. Anytime we'd enter a tavern, he would always tell me to look for the kind faces. He told me that compassionate people were the ones who were the easiest to take advantage of. That lesson took me quite a while to learn, and I would hope that you would learn it soon, because too much compassion might be an invitation for trouble. Just be careful.
My brother-in-law was a man who made many enemies. His perspective of compassion is a weakness, I think, alludes to his troubled mind, his troubled state. You can see where such a philosophy gets you in life. An early grave. I don't know how many lessons I would take to heart from that man. He's not the man your father was, as I'm sure you know, and his mentality can be venomous.
Did our mother know that father died because he was pushed down the stairs by a specter?
I don't think you guys told her that detail. I think you just let her believe that he fell down the stairs.
Okay.
But you know, she was pushed down the stairs once by a specter, so maybe she's put two and two together.
Yeah, that's fine. Okay. I nod. I say anything else? Or am I free to leave?
You are free to go about your business.
Okay.
And everyone else within our house on that list checked out. They had maybe not handed the letters over to me yet, but they had not denied them, nor had they written back.
Don't you think perhaps it would have been wise to wait a little bit to see if they would have acted on them? Perhaps some of them were contemplating betraying us, no?
It's possible, but after Paulo handed over his letter, I was worried that word would spread amongst the servants, and it would, I would say, someone who might be willing to betray us would hear that others have received it and word was out and switch their points of view. I figured intervention was quick before word spread and people could plot and plan around the information.
Okay. I nod.
To be fair, if Paulo had kept his mouth shut, this would have been a more useful test. I guess his heart was too pure.
All right. I nod. I rise, offer a hug and a kiss. I leave. On my way out, I would like to talk to whoever the head manager of the servants or the employees are. I just like to get the full names and information of the two people that were released.
Grindel is the new footman, and Thera is the old handmaiden.
Understood. All right, before the night is over, I would like to return to my hideout to check in on Vega and Hans. And Montem.
Beg and Hans are here. Montem is with them as well. It seems that the three of them are throwing knives at a target board against one of the walls. Your two others who are still learning Drakistian are practicing their verbs and nouns on the other side of the room. And every now and then Hans or Vega will shout some sort of phonetic correction to them from across the room as they say, you know, cat, cat, dog, dog, dog walks to house, cat walks to house, right? And they'll be like, no, it's not cat, it's cat. That sort of, you know, casual conversation while the three rogues are throwing knives and daggers at a target painted on the wall.
Gotcha.
When you enter the room, Montem quickly takes a knee. The other rogues give a bit of a scoff and a sideways look as this very formal man takes his, I don't know what the word for that is, his position. What's the opposite of an honorific? Like his subjugation?
Sure.
Yeah.
I laugh for a bit, or I chuckle heartily. I tell him, it's okay, Montem, you can rise. We don't really do that here.
He gets to his feet, clasps his hands in front of him, lets his cloak fall around his shoulders, and stands silently while Vega and Hans come up towards you. Anything you need, Lord Tyrael? Or are you just making another checkup?
I nod to Montem, and I say, a question, maybe a quiz for the three of you. Montem, I'm curious, for you first. I reach into my bag of holding, and I produce in front of me a vial. I ask him, can you identify by sight alone what you believe this is? I'm holding in front of him a potion of poison, J, the J marking one, whatever the J one means.
He looks at the potion of poison. With just my eyes?
Yeah, just take a guess.
He considers it hard and long, and then shakes his head and says, I prefer not to do guesswork. I know not what that is.
I look to Vega and Hans. What about for either of you? Would it be reasonable to identify this as a rogue that's probably seen a lot of poisons with his uncle? Would you be able to identify any of these off of...
Probably not the potion of poison, because that's an actual like potion that it is a magical poison. Maybe non-magical poisons would be easier to identify, but not sight alone. You might need to like give it a smell or, you know, a texture or something.
Sure, I'll hand it to them, I guess, so they could take a whiff of it if they want. I'm just curious if anybody here is like super like, oh yeah, this is blah, blah, blah. And if nobody, yeah, that's fine. Okay.
You know, they make guesses, but they don't know.
Yeah, I'll take it back. This is a potion of poison. Montem, as luck would have it, an assignment is dropped into your lap. I have 2 people that I need you to poison within hopefully the next 2 or 3 days. Vega and Hans will be able to help you, but ultimately, I'm gonna need you to be the one to carry this mission out. You think you can handle it?
Montem gives a slow, solemn nod. I will need names. Addresses are preferable.
All right, I nod, and I will give him the names of the 2 that were let go from our family. Rogues are able to create or procure poisons, or is this like a very hard thing to come by?
Poisons are a little difficult to come by. Some are fairly common and fairly easy. These are like poisonous berries that you might find. Most of these are more of irritants than actual like lethal things, or they're only lethal in doses so high that it would be hard to get them in a person without that person noticing. But someone with the right connections can get poisons from someone who's more specialized, like a snake catcher who can then like milk the venom out of a viper or whatnot.
Gotcha.
The procural of poisons is usually a specialized task that you then buy from.
Okay.
You know, right people.
Potion of Poison J, is this the fast acting one?
Let's see. J is 1 to 4 minute onset time. It must be ingested. If you fail your saving throw, you just die. If you pass your saving throw, you take 20 damage.
Okay. So can they get their own, or do I need to give them these potions of poison?
Well, that depends. Do you want to test Montem's ability to gather poisons on his own? or do you just want him to get the job done?
I need this job done fairly quickly.
Then you should supply them with the poison.
Okay, I've got 3 potions of poison. I'm going to take 2 off my sheet. I'll give him 2 vials. I've given him the names, the 2 people. Hopefully within 3 days they've ingested them. The hope would be to avoid any other violence, but...
Montem goes and plucks his dagger out of the wall, sheathes it in like a concealed sheath on the inside of his cloak, and will make for the door, giving you a stiff bow on exit, and then trotting down the stairs. Vega and Hans look at you, and once the stepping on the staircase has faded and the outer door has been shut, they ask you, where the hell did you pick up this relic? This guy is, I don't know. It's like some old dusty book you found somewhere.
It's not a Kuba, it's...
Eridon.
Eridon. Rather, have you been to Eridon before?
They both nod.
Yeah, I mean, that whole place is just beyond imagination. I can't imagine the types of people that would have survived there or escaped from there. It's the closest thing we've come to hell on Earth, so it's not surprising that this guy's a little bit off, but as long as he's trustworthy, it's the most important thing to us.
Vega says, I don't really trust someone that formal. They never let their guard down. They're always on edge. They're, they're always ready to hide something. There's not a lot of trust coming out of them. I find it hard to keep any faith in a person like that.
I understand what you...
Or
go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was going to say,
No.
I understand what you mean, Vega. These are actually the people I appreciate around me the most. The ones that would perhaps turn if offered a good enough deal. The ones that would perhaps backstab us if they saw us as unreliable. The reason why I appreciate these types of formal people is because they are, most importantly, predictable. As long as it's within his best interest to remain employed by me and working with us, we can be assured that he will continue to be employed by me and working for us. So we just need to make sure to serve him well as he serves us, and everything should be fine. Much better than somebody that trusts their heart or their head, whose desires or whims could change at a moment's notice, for a foolish relationship with a woman, for some pride or honor for another country. I don't know. Montem seems like a predictable fellow to me.
All right. They both kind of bob along with understanding of your perspective. Hans says, this Montem guy kind of gives me the creeps. He's just... When you asked him to kill this person, there wasn't a question of why. There wasn't a question of, what else might be involved here. There was just silent, steady obedience. Didn't this guy just show up a couple days ago? Already he's that willing to drop into murder?
Well, fortunately for the 3 of us, you 2 should have plenty of free time between teaching these 2 how to read and write. I'm sure you guys can keep tabs on him, make sure that he's not up to anything too spooky, but somebody that's loyal and obedient is probably going to be helpful for our cause, yes? Who knows what he's seen in those lands to the northeast. It's possible that this is more humane than anything he was forced to witness up there.
Vega chimes in. Yeah, besides, he's got to prove his loyalty, right? You don't show up to a new employer, have them ask you to kill someone, and then be like, hey, who am I killing, If he wants in, he's got to make a good show of it. I get it. I can get that. It's probably the most respectable part of him. But you're right, someone should keep an eye on him, and I think he's got a good enough head start. I recognize those names you gave. One of them's your new servant, yeah?
A new servant and an old servant. Apparently they had received the same letters that you had. Despite this lady working for us for over 30 years, she had the gall to hold this letter back and perhaps give information that would lead to the death of people in my family. It's unbelievable to me.
Well, someone should see to that. He looks over to Hans. I'll take the footman. You take the old woman. We'll see which one Montem gets to first. Vega and Hans nod at each other and excuse themselves down the stairs as well, leaving you with the 2 Solommites?
Whatever the Eastern people. Yeah.
Yeah. And they wave and come over and practice their common tongue with you, which is pathetic at this point in time, but that is to be expected. And you can head home or whatever else it is that you want to do with the rest of your day here.
I will, I'll stay and I'll chat for like a few minutes. I imagine I'll know from my lessons like the basic things, like maybe I'll ask them like, where is the library? Just like whatever I would expect. Like, how is your food? Are you happy? Are you sleeping well? Yeah, stuff like that. I'll communicate.
Practice for a little while.
Yeah, I'll smile. I'll make them feel a little bit good about their language, and then I'll wave goodbye and I'll take off.
All right, you can take off. Yep. When you arrive home, it is now late, and there is a letter waiting for you at the house. One of the servants hands it over to you, says a courier delivered it, and it is a return letter from the one that was addressed to Grindel, the new footman. It appears that Grindel had written back, and the message says, what exactly were your words? Handsome compensation for information related to the ongoing activities of the McGarry family. The letter says, your gold is much appreciated. My family can always use more. If there's anything I can do to be a friend to you, all you need do is be a friend to me.
Okay. Well, they're not gonna have to worry about spending money on him anymore, so it's good.
All right.
I'll take the letter whatever room I'm sitting in. I'm sure there's a fireplace in it. I'll toss it to the fireplace and watch it burn.
It goes up. Okay. And that is that. The night passes.
Have we had the weird ghoul person? That hasn't happened yet, has it? Or has it?
No, that happens after the month.
Okay.
After you killed the dragons. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Let's see. Both of the knights did report these letters as soon as they received them. They just, not everything arrived all at the same time. Let's see. Anton's priest still hasn't reported the theft of... Oh, is Anton's priest ready yet? Well, if he's not ready, then you can have sent this last one when he does become ready.
Sure.
But he doesn't report these findings to you, and he doesn't work in the house, so it's hard to know if he has just tossed it aside or is playing both sides against each other or is actively working with them. But you have not heard from Anton's priest on this front.
Okay.
Let's see.
I don't think that would be very surprising to me. I would probably wait to take action on that until Anton is back, because I would expect her to report that to Anton before reporting it to me.
That priest definitely wouldn't come to you. All right. Morning time, you can look out your window and see, instead of a rock on that wall to let you know to meet, there's a shoe, like a small women's shoe, and a stiff formal like footman's glove, as if someone has you ever been on like a hiking trail and someone drops something and so someone else like picks it up and like hangs it on a tree branch so it's super visible. It has that characteristic of like someone dropped this old woman's shoe and this like formal glove in the street, so we're like leaving it up high so it won't get dirty.
This is the next day?
This is that next day.
Okay. I'll take both of these and I will find a way to discard of them relatively discreetly. Like, I'm not going to take these inside and throw them in the trash. I'm probably going to, if there's a, dumpster, public waste or something, I'll toss them somewhere else, yeah?
There's a storm drain, they can be chucked down. No problem.
Sure. Okay.
It'll just get lost and rotted underneath the sewers. And they are gone. Excellent.
I'll head over in the morning and I will take a look at I'll go to my hideout. I would like to enter wearing the 2 rings I'll be wearing on my Ring of Reaction, and I'll wear my Ring of True Sight, or the Ring of Seeing.
Sure. As you enter, the blinds are drawn and closed, as are the shutters. You open the door. It's dim in here, but you can hear some people like getting out of bed to like wake up in the next room as you shut the door, and you hear some grumbling. Oh God, who is it? From Vega.
I'll give a brief acknowledgement. It is I, Tyrael.
Okay. The door opens and Vega, pockets the short sword he had drawn, or slides it into a sheath behind the door. Sorry, it was a long night. Is there something you need, or can I? He gestures his thumb back in the direction of the bed.
I just wanted to give Montum a look and make sure he's okay.
He points to the other room, signaling it's Montum's, and then just shuts the door and stumbles his way back to bed.
Yeah, I'll kind of make my way over to the room. I'll test the knob to see if I can open it and kind of peer inside.
Yeah, you give it a bit of an open, and immediately you hear the clattering of something that has been set against the door to make a noise should it open at all. And in a flash, Montum rolls out of bed, dagger in hand, eyes wide, staring at you like some sort of madman ready to slit your throat. And then realization dawns very quickly, and the dagger, gets turned against the backside of his arm to hide it from view.
Gotcha.
He takes a moment to run a hand through his hair and compose himself before giving you a bow and taking a knee in front of you.
Yeah. I want to activate my Ring of Seeing. I'll only ask him a simple question. I'll say, "Are you hurt?"
He shakes his head twice.
And I'll say, "Very good." And then I'll close the door and I'll leave. When I activate my Ring of Seeing, does everything appear as is, or?
Yes. The dagger he had in his hand is magical, though.
Okay. Not projecting in alignment. He's not a spooky monster zombie, or?
Correct.
Okay, cool. That's it then. He's fine. All right, close the door, and I will take off.
Is this enough to make Montum A-okay in your books, or are you still wanting him to be tested in some way?
I still want to see, I would still want Vega and Hans to kind of keep tabs on him, but I mean, this was pretty well done, yeah.
Okay. Excellent. As you are walking down the street, heading back home, or wherever it is you go this day, there is a man who approaches you. And can you give me a charisma check to see if you recognize this face who you've only met once before, a long time ago? Yes. How could you forget the face of the man who runs the magic shop where you had your scroll of wish identified? You're walking down the street. He's walking the other way. His head cocks as you approach, or as you go to pass each other, and he quickly steps aside in your direction and says, "Ah, Lord Tyrael, how are you this fine day?"
I nod. I extend my hand to shake, and I say, "Hello, I'm doing great. And how are you, old sage?"
Very well. I don't know if you recognize me. We did some business some time back. I was just wondering. And he takes a quick look around. What did you use that scroll of wish for?
I look him over for a minute. My eyes kind of wander off. And then I look back. And I say, I've heard so many stories about those wish scrolls. And I didn't actually believe in it. I think the three of us got together. We simply wished for good luck and good fortune. And I lean in close and I whisper to him and I say, "Seems as though the wish came true, wouldn't you say?" And then I kind of nudge him on the ribs and I just want to keep walking.
His head bobs as you leave. He makes no reply or no attempt to gather your attention again, and is gone from view. Okay. Cool. So that's all that's going to happen today. I still have some more things, but they're going to happen later in the month. Is there anything that you wanted to check out or do in the meantime?
So Montum seems good. I feel pretty solid about the loyalty of the people around our family. Mother's continuing to fix up and take care of the giant warehouse that we've got to make it more homely. Imric is studying with Arc Somber. Anton is hopefully safe studying abroad. I am practicing every day to learn how to dual wield. Don't think there's anything else particularly. I think I'd mentioned that I would like to visit kind of like libraries and kind of read and gather information about like rulers of old. We'd mentioned that kind of like in a passing statement. So, yeah. Otherwise, I don't think anything specifically should be going on. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you spend the next few days training in your 2-weapon fighting style with his name Valmont, Varen, Winthrop Vandal. You work with him for some time. Until 2 weeks later.
Actually.
Oh yeah?
I will go somewhere else. Who is like the biggest, baddest? Actually, I want to make a meeting with Arc Somber.
Sure. It's not difficult to arrange, and you can find yourself in Arc Somber's chambers one early morning before she goes off to her work that day.
If possible,
she's got all her spells memorized.
Okay. If possible, I'd like to go there either very early or very late when I know Imric won't be studying there.
Yes, very early in the day it is.
Okay. I will find Arc Somber. I'll knock. I'll nod. Go into her quarters or whatever to chat.
She sits down across the table from you, has her apprentice pour you both some cups of tea, set them before you and before her, and the apprentice disappears up the tower, leaving the two of you to chat. Arc Somber looks you over. My dear Lord Tyrael, what brings you here this day? I expected your brother, and yet here you are.
Well, you know him. I'm sure he'll be following along shortly to continue his studies, whatever it is you guys read about in here. I have a question for you, Arc Somber.
Yes.
I kind of like nod, like, do you mind? And I reach forward to grab, I imagine there should be like a quill, like a writing thing, and then like some parchment so I could write something down.
Yeah, she sees you reaching for the quill, grabs papers, puts them in front of you, and watches patiently and quietly.
I will draw on the, I'll draw on the parchment 2 horizontal lines, and then detach from those like a circle at the end, that symbol that I've seen over and over again. And I'll turn the parchment and I will slide it over to her and I'll ask her, do you have any familiarity with this rune symbol, this writing?
She studies it carefully for a moment, racks her brain thinking about it.
While she's doing this, I can make a quick check or whatever. I would like to very, very, very carefully, as I'm asking her this question, I am trying to be, the Ring of Seeing I don't think would help me here. I want to see if she's like whoa, or like is she trying to hide a surprise? Like how is she regarding this? Yeah.
Right. Give me a charisma check as you try to read her face.
I've used a lot of good rolls today, Koibu. Okay.
She is.
Oh, I have a luck
composed.
stone. Never mind. Okay, good.
She is well composed. Her face doesn't betray any of her inner thoughts, but it does furrow as she tries to search her mind. Eventually, she stops and shakes her head and says, this is not a symbol that has any meaning to me.
None whatsoever?
What is it?
No. I take it back and I say, it seems strange to me, but I think across our adventures, I feel like I remember seeing this scrawled on a wall somewhere, and Anton reacted to it in a pretty strange way. I asked him about it, and he didn't seem to have any more answers for me as well, so I just wasn't aware if there was some other meaning of Velthara or some other type of meaning behind the symbol. It might help me a bit. But if you have no idea, do you know anybody else that might study these types of ancient symbols that would know anything about it?
There's a historian in town. He might recognize this if it's what would you call it? A symbol of nobility or an old symbol of war in some way, shape, or form. Let's see, there should be a sage in Fenden that studies the ancient works of long-lost mages, not magically inclined themselves, but just a historian of magic. And they might be able to help you if it is an arcane symbol. Your brother would be able to assist you if it were divine, and that should cover your 3 main bases.
Okay, I nod. I'll start with the historian in this town, and I'll head to Fenden after if he has no answers for me. I very much appreciate your wisdom. I would say that your wisdom is definitely the aspect of you that I appreciate the most, even if we have been at ends with each other. I understand why you do the things that you do, and I must say, even if I disagree or get angered by your decisions sometimes, I definitely can respect where they come from.
Why, Tyrael, you surprised me.
Surprised for not being the brutish oaf my father was, or...
I did not think you quite the diplomat.
Come across a lot of different characters on our journeys. I guess in order to make it as far as we have, you have to recognize certain traits and certain people when you come across them. And, yeah.
What traits would you say I possess?
I lean back for a moment and I kind of rest my, what would make sense? Rest my hand, I guess, or rest my head on my hand, and I think for a moment. I think the two traits that you possess the most that I can see through are unyielding loyalty to the kingdom. I would say a great deal of wisdom and intelligence, both of those. Yeah, it's my perception of you so far.
I think I should be flattered then. I know your two brothers and I have not always seen eye to eye. Imric and I often argue over the necessity of all the spells, and he seems to think I am petty for withholding them. Your other brother seems to think I am some sort of monster. I know not why he has that point of view, but it does grate on me.
I understand. Sometimes it feels like to hunt monsters in these areas, sometimes it feels like you must become one yourself. I'm sure even within you a bit of that monstrosity resides. I appreciate it, and I think maybe you see some of that in us after all the things that we've done. I understand your perspective on that. It's become very difficult for me to balance what is best for country and best for family, and I can only hope that these two things never come in conflict with one another. It's something that's caused me a great deal of stress over the past couple of months, and I think that's come out in ways that is a bit more confrontational than I would have wished it to.
It's easy to put king, queen, and country first when you have no family, she says.
I
Makes
nod.
my job much easier.
I nod in understanding. I say, as of this moment, I don't see any conflict between what's best for my family and what's best for this kingdom. I hope that doesn't change in the future. I don't plan on it. It's just something I worry about. We've come across so many people that are so keen on backstabbing whatever families they serve, or killing whatever monsters they serve, or destroying whatever kingdoms they come across. And you're obviously well read on us. You know my background. And you know the time I spent with my uncle, who's an unscrupulous man who also held no loyalty of his own, so I appreciate the understanding that you've given me so far, the understanding you've given my two brothers as well, even if we are a bit, as you say, grating at times.
This does bring up a difficult topic, and with just you here, this might be the appropriate time to address it. It has not escaped my attention that Anton bears around his neck the mark of Velthar's Chosen, a holy symbol bordering on the level of artifact. It makes many of us a great deal uncomfortable to see him carry such a thing.
I mean, the artifact itself confers a great deal of power, does it not? I believe we've been using it to hunt down people. He has an uncanny precision for finding people that he's marked with his amulet.
And given our circumstances, vengeance against Scoria is definitely something we all would embrace.
Vengeance seems to beget more vengeance. What happens after Scoria, I suppose, is going to be the direction of this conversation.
What happens to the people who were not kind to your family before your rise to prominence? What happens to the people who make slights or perceived slights of your family? How far will this take him? Anton has become an extraordinarily powerful cleric in a very short period of time. His penchant for wrath is, as you know, it is quite strong. I have no doubt that is why Velthara has picked him of all of her clerics to do her bidding. And I worry what that means for Queen and country.
I'm going to look to the side for a moment, a bit uncomfortable, and I'll bring my eyes back to Arc Somber. It's a bit embarrassing to say, but if I'm to be completely honest with you, I would be lying if I said that I didn't consider my brother when I'd heard that my father had taken a fall down the stairs. It's no secret that he was quite cruel to him in his adolescence, and it's almost embarrassing to say it, but I actually felt a great sense of relief to find that he'd been pushed down the stairs by that specter haunting our house, rather than something more horrible happening. I worry sometimes that my brother might be putting that amulet ahead of family. Although I don't speak to Velthara, I'm certainly not her chosen apostle, so not entirely sure where that direction takes him, or would take somebody like him.
Her head bobs up and down in understanding. I think Anton will need careful guidance if he is to stay in a position of servitude to the crown, to the empire. I fear cleric with that much power who does not perceive themselves as having any loyalties, or perceives themselves as having loyalties to something other than this kingdom we've helped craft and guide towards success.
Well,
do you have any assurances that is not a path he is going down?
I mean, as embarrassing as it is to say it, it sounds as though you might know of his desires more than I do. I live with him every day. I can see the way that I think his power has shaped his newer personality. He's no longer the timid, non-confrontational boy he used to be. He's quite the aggressive man these days, especially to those he feels has wronged him. I mean, what ultimately is a cleric of Velthara to do? What is the final destination for these types of people? Perhaps when I go to talk to the scholar later, he'll be able to tell me what has been the ultimate fate of the people that have worn that amulet. Or perhaps you know this?
It has cropped up a few times throughout history. It's referenced rarely here and there. She shrugged. I don't know its history myself, only that each god has an artifact that they sometimes give out to their favorites, to their chosens. Some of these are theoretically lost for all time. Others are simply waiting to be found, and yet others are, as this is, handed out. How did Anton come to acquire this? That is a story I was never privy to.
The free city of Roxas, beneath the depths of one of its temples. I'm not entirely sure if that amulet had always been there or if it had appeared there for us. But it seems as though he acquired it there. I don't know if... I can't really speak to anything else about it. I don't know if Velthara sent it for him or what. Again, I'm a simple thief sometimes. I don't really know as much about all this magical stuff as you or Imric or Anton would know about.
Well, it is undoubtedly magical. It emits an overwhelming aura of magic. I just pray that when the time comes for him to choose his path, he chooses wisely. And I hope you and Imric can guide him down I would say a path of temperance, but I don't think that mixes well with a cleric of Velthara.
Well, I suppose it will do the best that we can to keep him in check and hopefully find stuff to keep him busy. But otherwise, hopefully the only enemies that he acquires are enemies of this kingdom as well, I suppose. I scratched my head for a moment. You know, initially, I know that we haven't had the best of relationships. I thought of a few ways to approach this conversation. I thought of offering you a gift, but I think that would feel more like a bribe than anything else, especially for somebody in your position. So I'll merely leave the offer that I did before when I left here, although I think that happened in the future. But if there's ever anything that you feel that you need that we might come across in any of our adventures, feel free to let us know. We've made it a habit of acquiring strange and rare artifacts from around the world, the places that we travel to. So just let us know if there's anything you need.
I appreciate your offer. I have the things that I need. I serve the kingdom, and I use the kingdom's resources. If there is something that comes up, I'm sure you will hear of it. But for now, as long as I stay away from the front lines, my needs are met.
Okay, I nod and stand.
She gets up as well, walks you to the door, opens it for you, and then you guys can part.
All right,
You'll meet Imric on his way into the castle. You can exchange whatever pleasantries you want, and he'll go into study.
I want to take out my sword and kill Imric.
He dies.
Okay, all right.
Continuity is broken.
Okay, all right. I nod at Imric. I imagine I probably assure him, hopefully, that I just had a pleasant conversation with Arksomber. Hopefully she's still standing at the door and she's smiling, because I imagine as Imric approaches, he's going to be worried that I showed up to start a huge fight again or something, and then those two will go off and talk. Yeah.
Yeah, they go off and they do their thing, and that's it. Yep. Okay. So it is a week or so after this.
Oh, wait. I don't want that much time to pass. I will go and talk to the town's historian, and then if he doesn't know anything, I'll go to the sage in Fenden, which I hope I can get to in a day.
Yeah, you can get to Fenden in half a day and back in half a day with your carriage.
Yeah.
Neither of these people recognize this symbol.
And then I'll ask either of them if they would know anybody that would.
Nope.
Interesting.
Someone, the historian says these are two signs that are used in mathematics and in logical sequencing, but on their own mean nothing to me. The arcane historian talks about magic circles as an important thing, and flows of magic as an important thing. But again, these are both individual symbols he sees, but he's never seen them put together. And even if you were to try and abstractly think of the magical purposes of symbols like these, they don't have any interplay.
Gotcha. Okay. I'll make a few other stops, with the final being the queen if I need to make an appointment. The first one is we should have an ambassador to Roxas, somebody that's a dwarf. I'll ask a dwarf if he recognizes the symbol at all. Whoever our ambassador is for that.
Yeah. The dwarf tells you that this is a symbol used in mining. Whenever you have a set of mine tracks that intersect, this is the symbol to mark that here is the switch that you would use to shift that middle circle that runs around. It's the parallel railroad hitting the turning thing, and that way you can redirect the direction of any given mine cart.
Gotcha.
He seems pretty solid, but that's the...
Yeah, I nod and I thank him, telling me I found some of these symbols etched in a wall at an old mine shaft. I didn't know why. And then I leave.
That's what it is. Nothing important.
Can I make a meeting with that, or just a quick visit with the guy, the elven ambassador that had enchanted my green dragon armor?
Yes, the elven ambassador would, of course, speak with you again. His appointments are backed up quite some time, so you wait a few days until you can finally get a chance to speak with him. He'll invite you back into his treehouse.
And then I'll ask him, I'll show him the symbol, and I'll ask if he seems to know it. Also, regarding his face as I ask.
Give me that charisma check again.
I used all my good fucking rolls on shit that didn't matter, Koibu.
Sorry. He looks at it. turns it upside down so the equal sign faces the other way, turns it over to like try and see through the paper, spins it here and there.
No
Circles
idea.
are usually the center of symbology, not a side of it.
Okay.
Is this perhaps only half of a symbol?
I nod, or I shake my head and nod, and I don't know, maybe. Just curious if you know anything about it.
No, that means nothing to my people.
The blue dragon head is being kept in the castle, right?
On the walls of the castle, so all the people who pass by can see it.
Okay, I want to schedule an appointment with the queen, if I could. But before I actually walk in to talk to the queen, I would like to stand outside the castle, and I would like to regard that dragon head very carefully. And as I see the dragon head, I'll kind of like move my cloak to the side, and I'll rest my hand on the hilt of Harbinger, and I'll see if I can get him to wake up, if I can communicate with him at all.
Absolutely. You see the dragon head outside. You rest your hand on the hilt.
And I can speak to him through my mind. I'll say, Harbinger, my sword. You wouldn't happen to know anything about a symbol. It looks like an equal sign and a zero together, would you?
No. That is no symbol of any dragon I have seen. Their language is difficult to understand, but it is highly symbolic in and of itself. Yet, that is not one I recognize. It's too simple to be a dragon symbol. Their signs are far more complicated. They usually have multiple layers upon layers. One visual, one magical, others context clues etched around them. Only like-minded creatures will be able to notice and decipher a dragon symbol.
Gotcha, I understand. Okay. I don't think I'll schedule a meeting with the queen. I don't think she'll know anything. Okay. If I could I try to ask Clortis? I could schedule a meeting with him. We haven't seen him in a while.
Yeah. You can easily get a meeting with Clortis, but he'll tell you the same thing. He's got no idea what that is. He promises to look into it for you, though.
Okay. Final thing. Okay, last two I'll try. I would like to go back to my hideout, and I'll ask Vega Hans, then I'll ask Montum, since he comes from the northeast. Maybe he'd be familiar. And if he doesn't know, then I'll ask Sylvia and Benji, who come from the other continent, see if any of them are aware of anything the symbol might mean.
Sylvia and Benji have seen this before. Sylvia and Benji, you're gonna have to get a translator for them though. So that means some third-party teacher is going to have to help translate Sylvia and Benji's words, because you show them the symbol and they nod like they understand something about it. But again, they're at like the cat went to the library.
I understand. Can you cast tongues on another person, or is that only on yourself?
Let's see, spells.php. Tongues enables the wizard to speak and understand additional languages. So what about comprehend languages? Comprehend languages. Nope. Tongues and comprehend languages are both just for the caster.
Okay, I would like to go back to my house. I want to ask my mother if I can find a translator that is very discreet, that I will pay 50 gold for his services to. And I would like to bring him back to, it won't be to my hideout, it'll be to another location like a park or something. And I'll have Benji and Sylvia come along, and he'll be the translator for this conversation.
Yeah. You can get a trustworthy translator who speaks Eridonian to come and help translate this for you. Your price of 50 gold is tempting, and they will easily bite and meet you where?
Wait, I
Not
can't
in
is it easy for me to just read a scroll of tongues or something? Can I do that?
You are a rogue. You have a percentage chance to cast spells, but there's also a chance that it might fail. And then you have to buy the scroll. It'd be many hundreds of gold.
Hundreds of gold, oh, okay.
Yeah. It would be an expensive thing without a guaranteed chance of success.
Okay, never mind then. Yeah, 50 gold then for the translator. Okay.
Sure. Okay. Sylvia and Lenny? What was it?
A Benji.
Benji. Sylvia and Benji. Write their names down so I stop forgetting.
I have them written in the basic character shit on the bottom right too if you need any of that information. Or I can actually even just...
There we go. Sylvia and Benji will tell you that they have seen this marking in Solemn. The translator will be translating all of this, of course. Where we come from, the followers of Varasi are in full sway. Her power has taken over the land, and her dominance rivals that of all the other deities. This makes many of them jealous and angry. I have seen this symbol here, left on a table by a cleric of Malchus in an inn we were staying. We saw it on a scrap of paper, and then it was later picked up some 15 minutes by the innkeeper as they were clearing dishes.
A nod. What is
And then he will sort of like, you've got this circle with the lines, and he'll do this, and then he'll, in the dirt or sand near where you are, he will make like a circle, line, and then circle, swirl, swirl.
Oh, you're making stuff. Okay, I see. I understand. Have I seen these other two anywhere before?
This right here, this circle with like a spiral coming out of it, is the symbol of Malchus. That is the world known marking for him.
Okay.
And
so
then
what is this top right?
Sylvia,
Yeah.
well, this, you line on either side becomes a line. Both lines on one side becomes a line on another side becomes a swirl. It's a anagram of Malchus, a visual anagram of his holy symbol.
So what am I supposed to expect this to mean?
They ask what the context of this symbol is. That it can't be understood without its context.
I've seen it written sometimes on walls and temples. Just wasn't sure what it meant.
What does a holy symbol mean when written on the walls of a temple? Although this is a disguised symbol, it's strange that it would be disguised within a temple itself.
Interesting. Okay. I thank the translator for his time. I'll hand him the other 25 gold. I imagine I pay him half now, half later, whatever. I tell him, I have no idea who you are. We've never spoken to one another. But now that I appreciate your services, and I nod and I wave him off.
The translator, without saying another word, takes the money, gives you a bow, and exits, doing their job to, they're translators. Their job is keeping secrets and spilling things. Not spilling, translating things, but, otherwise keeping it all to themselves.
I imagine my next meeting then would be, is there like a cleric of Malchus in this city?
Yes, there is. There are many large temples in town, and there are clerics of Malchus at each one of them.
All right. Do you want to take a break, and then on the other side of that we can run into that?
Sounds good.
All right. All right, we'll be right back.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Tombs of Scoria. You go to visit a cleric of Malchus. You find one at a temple in town. Any particular criteria for which temple you want to go to?
What are the people that go to these temples, the priests or whatever, where do they normally sleep? Do they live in the temples?
So the clerics and the priests will usually live in the temple. If they're a low enough level, not necessarily like character level, but, social or power level or, significance level, they might have a home nearby. Or if they are fancy and noble, they might have a home that they stay in. But most of the priests and clerics will live at the church or the temple. The rest of the clergy will have their own homes and come and do their clerical work.
Okay. I would like to visit them at night. My goal is to find where the cleric of Malchus sleeps, and I'd like to knock on his door and have a conversation with him at night.
Yeah.
Or actually,
it's a little difficult to knock specifically on one person's door because they sort of have a dormitory style area for the clerics.
Can I figure out which one he sleeps in? If the answer to this is going to be no, then my next question is, can I send Vega to that temple to figure out which one he sleeps in, to do some digging around and then tell me?
So it's more like a dormitory or barracks style thing, where
like
there's
a hostel.
a room where the clerics, where a room the
so
clerics
lots
sleep in, and there's like lots of beds. Yeah.
Okay, I understand.
The head cleric of each temple will definitely have their own room, and then usually if there's some other important clerics, they might have their own private quarters, but generally it's like common housing.
Can I, earlier Vega mentioned that when that one guy was talking shit about my family, that apparently some of his rumors were coming from a cleric. Did he specify which cleric? Not like a particular cleric, but like what school?
Vega didn't, but maybe the guy did. You don't have that information, but Vega might have it still.
Okay, I guess before heading to this temple, can I ask Vega if that guy specifically mentioned which cleric he was getting information from?
He mentioned it was a cleric of Nadinus, goddess of nature, which is surprising to me. I can't imagine what a nature goddess would have against your family.
Interesting. Okay, I'll visit the temple during the day to speak to the cleric of Nadinus, whichever one is spreading these rumors.
Well, there's one cleric of Nadinus that you guys know you've pissed off. That's the one who's been using the uplift spell with.
Do we know that, or did Anton go to do that on his own? Because I think a couple times he went without us, so I don't know if we are aware of the extent.
She was there with a Speak for Dead when you guys were asking some questions, and she got offended in front of all of you about the questions you were asking and the implications of what it might mean, and left. So you're pretty familiar with who she is.
I want to go speak to her then.
Yeah. You can find her.
Okay.
Around. She will be in... I think when you find her, she is tending to a garden out front of the main temple in town.
Real quick, Moody Cakes is losing his mind. He's saying that it wasn't her, that was a Martha cleric that was doing it. Using uplift. My God.
Well, there was some Nadinus cleric that you guys had pissed off, right?
I don't know. Was it a Martha cleric or a Nadinus cleric? Or we can say it was a Martha cleric if it was the Martha one instead.
No, it was definitely a Nadinus cleric here. That's...
Oh, because of the merfolk. Mermaid people.
Yeah, there's a lot of reasons for a Nadinus cleric to be pissed at you. I thought there was one local in Wicthron Marenta that you guys had worked with before that you had made an enemy of, but there's so many clerics these days, I'm getting them all confused.
All right, well, as long as nothing gets retconned, I'll go talk to whoever's talking shit.
Yeah, you can find the lead Nadinus cleric. In fact, you can even figure out which one it was that was speaking to the knight just by context clues of what the knight had said, and figuring out the closest cleric who would then also be meeting up with the knight near that tavern and inn he was staying at. And you can find the head Nadinus cleric of the large temple here in town.
I will nod at her. I'll kind of wave her down and I'll approach her.
She approaches you slowly and carefully, making sure that she is standing in the middle of a public street while she speaks with you.
In the middle of a public street, or are we in the temple?
She was tending to the garden outside the temple.
Oh.
So, near the public streets, she steps into the middle of the street as she sees you making eye contact and waves you over.
Okay.
She gives you a bit of a curtsy and says, "My dear Lord Tyrael, Slayer of Dragons."
I nod my head and I say, "Head cleric, Nadinus, planter of flowers. How goes your day?"
"It has been fine up until now, but I can feel my goddess telling me things were about to take a turn." She cracks one eye and gives you a half smile at the jest.
Now please, my last name might be McGarry, but I'm not here to trouble you as my younger brother is. I do have a question to ask you, though. I don't know if you've heard by now, but I confronted a knight in a tavern who was spreading some troubling rumors about my family. Now, supposedly, some of these rumors have come from clerics from this very temple. Do you happen to know anything about these rumors?
Not just clerics, from me.
And might I ask why you find it necessary to divulge any secrets that we might have come to you with to random knaves in the street?
She closes her fingers and interlocks them together. This random knave, as you call him, came to me asking for advice, asking for help. Well, I say he came to me. He came to us, and she points to the temple behind her, asking for help and asking for advice. And I was in the back doing dishes, cleaning up, when the water fell from the bucket and split over the dish for just a moment, but without touching it. I knew it was a symbol. I knew it meant something. So I left the kitchen and I headed out into the main ground and found that very night, asking very loudly about the McGarrys. So I came to speak to him. Because, as I'm sure you know, your people, you people, and my deity do not see eye to eye. And I have been informed of many of your misgivings and misdeeds in the process of speaking with this said, what did you call him? Knave? Random knave? He had questions for me that I had no answers to, but my goddess was more than happy to provide me insight and direction. I have learned somewhat about the 4 of you now. And I have spoken the truths that I have been told.
I look around for a moment. I walk over to some of the flowers that she's planting. I kind of regard a lot of the different plants. I stop for a moment. I kind of run my hand up the stalk of one of them. I don't really know anything about planting flowers. I know that my mother used to when we were younger, and I've seen servants out in the yard tending to them. Is it really true that sometimes you have to cut stalks from a plant in order to keep it healthy?
She walks up beside you and reaches out to the flower next to yours and touches one of the leaves on it, which quickly withers and falls to the ground. She says, yes. For the well-being of the whole system, sometimes the weak or the old need to be culled, the sick. Sometimes bits must be trimmed to encourage growth. And sometimes fire can be quite cleansing.
I nod.
Fertilizer, even.
I look over and I look in the eye. And I say, well, we fight an enemy that burns and scorches entire villages in her wake. It's no secret to you, of course, that me and my brothers have unfortunately performed, maybe we'd say, less than honorable acts in the service of our kingdom. I hope you understand that we're doing this for a greater end, for the glory of our kingdom, and more importantly, for the survival of our people. It would be really disappointing to me to know that a cleric as powerful and as wise as yourself would try to stop our mission because along the way, we have to trim a few plants.
Some of the more foolish-minded people in the world see it as a single spectrum with good on one side and bad on the other side, and you either are a sum of good actions or a sum of bad actions. But I think people like you and I understand that there are many forces of nature at play, and each one must fulfill its role. And sometimes two people, both acting out of kindness, goodness, and for what they see as the right set of actions must come to head. I have no personal grudge against you or your family, but you have wronged my goddess. And while Nadinus is frequently overlooked as one of the big 7 deities, without her we would all wither and die. And when you slight her, you slight us all.
Regard our words for a moment. I turn my head and I regard the entire garden. And then I look back to the cleric. Well, balance between the gods is important, albeit sometimes it feels an impossible beam to walk. What would you suggest as a head cleric of Nadinus for something that we could do to bring our relationship with her perhaps further back in balance?
Return to the depths which you have stolen, what is not yours, what you have slaughtered for. And then, after that debt has been paid down somewhat, then we can begin to talk about making things even, about making things right. But until that first step is taken, there will be no peace between your family and my deity.
Okay. Just real quick, am I to understand that that means the Valthara amulet?
No, the circlet, the wisdom circlet that gives Mouton
18 wisdom.
18 wisdom.
Wait, did we pull that out of the Roxas temple from beneath?
No, you pulled that from the mermaids. Under
Oh
the sea.
yeah, from the mermaids.
Yeah. From the Temple of Nadinus.
Gotcha. Okay. I nod and I stand. And, you know, you're a wise woman. Nadinus is a reasonable god. I hope that she can think of something else that we can do to bring our relationship back in balance. I will say, the Megari tree grows strong right now, and it would be a shame to have to uproot other plants that might be hogging nutrients otherwise for us in the dirt. I hope that we can have a more productive relationship in the future, because I'm sure that there are ways that both of us can help one another. And it'd be a shame if anything happened otherwise. But I believe I have nothing left to say to you.
I am but a simple servant. Striking me down would be like killing the man who opens the door at the castle. I may hold some amount of power, but your grief is not with me. And should you strike me down, there are more clerics, there are more followers of Nadinus, there are many halflings in our lands. Everyone eventually turns to Nadinus. We all get our food from her. We all find peace underneath her shade. Her sun shines down brightly upon us.
Are there any people next to us, or?
Yeah, there's people going back and forth in the streets. No one's really paying attention to your conversation. There's tons of folks around you, but you know, you're kind of in your own little world on the side of the road looking at flowers.
Okay, I give a loud laugh and a hearty chuckle, and I say, such cryptic advice for the growth of my tomato plants. I appreciate you, and I bid you farewell. I hope to see you again in the future in good health. And I'll just leave.
May the winds always blow against you, Tyrael.
Okay, gone. And then I'll come back to this temple again at night looking for the Malchus guy. Whether that means I have to see him first so that I know what he looks like, and then I'll come into the dorm at night and I'll wake him for a conversation. Yeah. But I don't think I want to be seen publicly as like the Megari eldest brother is going to talk to a cleric of Malchus. That's not something that I want to be like in broad daylight.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got you. Let's roll some dice here. Ooh, 19 is a good roll. Yeah, you can come by the temple that evening. And who should be on night watch duty but the cleric of Malchus tonight? 19 is indeed quite a good roll. He's out there just sweeping the steps, going around, touching up things, replacing candles that are burning low, doing the duties of the cleric who's on night watch, which is there's always someone. Someone's always awake in the temple in case someone comes in the middle of the night and needs some guidance or, to keep kids from making a mess of things, et cetera, et cetera. And you will arrive at the temple as the guy is sweeping the steps and replacing the candles, and the cleric of Malchus's gaze will fall upon you. Let me just quickly figure out who this cleric is. Yes, it is a tall and heavy-set man in his early 30s, about 6'1", 240 pounds.
Okay. I'll approach him. I just kind of like, is there like a wall that I can lean against? Yeah.
Definitely.
I'll just nod at him. I'll kind of walk up. Is he inside or outside right now?
He's on the steps, the threshold.
At the threshold. Okay. I'll just kind of like lean against the wall. I'll take a look outside, make sure that we're alone. And I'll just kind of like speak in a normal voice so he can hear me. Wars are fought so that kingdoms can exist, that can be occupied by a single type of people. Nobles all have our own houses that we live in. We wouldn't dream of sharing any of our estates or any of our land with anyone else. What is it like being a cleric that has to share a space with so many other gods? Does this ever weigh on you guys? Do you care about this at all?
He'll walk down the steps, sweeping each one as he goes. I have many, many brothers and sisters. I share space with them. They eat at my table and I eat at theirs. We cannot all be so rich and comfortable to have houses of our own and bedchambers of our own. And at least where I grew up, sharing space with your siblings is not an intrusion. It is a way to know your family, to know one another, to be communal and work together.
I nod. Don't some of these gods have contradictory messages, contradictory missions? It doesn't irritate you sometimes that a follower might come in who might otherwise talk to you, but instead talks to some bothersome cleric of some other god?
It helps if you think of it as a game. There is a person in need. They are looking for guidance in life. Am I good enough to guide them? Or am I needing to practice to learn to better sway the minds of men? And perhaps a sister or a brother can speak to this person. Each day, I hope to get a little better at persuading someone to my point of view, and I can only move on from those who seek other answers.
I'll push off against the wall. I see that he's walking down here. He said he's 6'1", I'm 5'11". I should be able to approach him, look him almost in the eye. I am Tyrael McGarry. Does Malchus whisper my name in your ears?
Yes, I have heard of you before. In fact, I was hoping to find you one day soon when my time allowed. I have questions for you.
As I have for you. Is there a better place that we can talk? If you're looking for me, I don't know why you wouldn't merely go to where I live. We have addresses here.
I have many, many things to do, and they all must find a time in the great scheduling chaos that is Malchus's domain.
I laugh a bit. I understand. I suppose chaos doesn't lend itself to a consistent schedule. Is there a place you'd like to go to speak?
Perhaps in the morning we can take a stroll outside of town. There is a small inn just outside the gates, and outside behind that inn there is a stable. Perhaps I shall see you there near sunup.
I know the inn well, and I will see you there at sunrise. I believe, is this the same inn that's outside that we meet our one friends at? I know that there is an outside, but yeah. Okay. Okay. I nod and can I activate my Ring of Seeing as I leave and look back at him? He's not like a zombie man or anything, right?
He is not. No.
Does he project
His
an aura?
appearance is true. He's not projecting aura. He's not at least 9th level. He just looks like a large, plump man sweeping the steps of a city in the middle of the night. As you walk away, he kind of stays down at the bottom of the steps, sweeping them, moving over to a little patch of garden, sweeping dirt off of the road and back into the plots on the side, and goes about his work as if he had never spoken to you.
Okay. I'll go home, go to sleep, wake up early, go to that inn.
Yeah. You'll arrive at the inn, go behind to find the little stable/barn back there, and wait for the man who shows up 3 hours late.
I guess as I hear him approaching, I'll say, I know it's only recently that the McGarry name is ringing from these rooftops, but it's still a bit rude to keep somebody like myself waiting for so long. I can only excuse so much due to who you are, but...
The tides of chaos sweep us all, and we are but slaves to its flow.
Perhaps my brother Imric was a closer student of Malchus than he intended to be when he was missing classes, skipping it for girls and drink, but...
Well, Malchus blessed my bowels this morning with great frothy masses. It took me longer to get here than I needed.
I wave my hand. I say, speak to me about what it is that you hear of me.
Where is my... So you guys, he walks off down a little game trail out back behind the stable, and kind of waits for the sounds of the city and the tavern to be left behind until the neighing of the horses in the stables is just a distant whinny.
As we walk around, as I feel like we're starting to reach a place and slow down, I'll activate that Ring of Seeing for the first time today and look around to see if Arksomber's follower is following me or if I see anybody else around.
No, you gaze through the trees. You can easily spot bird nests. There's an owl who is sleeping in like the knot of a tree that otherwise would have been perfectly camouflaged with it, and you see the owl perched there unconscious. Your ring is working. You notice the things that are hidden, but there's nothing noteworthy to share with you.
Okay. All right, my nod.
I have questions and a sentiment that have been brewing in my mind. They come in the sleep, in the night, in my dreams. Sentiment is that troubling times are arriving on winds of change all too soon. And that your family may be blown away unless you can secure a house of stone. That is the sentiment that has been haunting my sleep. And the questions I have are abstract.
I shake my head for a moment. I am a man of wood and steel. I don't speak or understand, riddles or the words of the gods or the morning sounds of a bird or I'm gonna need something.
You know the children's story of the 3 little pigs, and the wolf comes, and one pig builds his house of straw and it gets blown down, and one pig builds his house of wood and it gets blown down, and the
I'm
big
familiar
bad
with
wolf
such a story,
comes,
of course. We hear it a
or the
million
house
times
of
growing up.
stone. Yes. Your family currently resides in a straw house. And the big bad winds of change are coming.
Who are these winds of change blown by? I don't suppose Malchus would impart that knowledge on you, would he?
No one in Scoria, yourselves, the Queen, Arxomber, the 6 generals, Lord Gilder, King Gilder of Mystria. The winds of change are all about us. Many faces and forms. It is too much of a whirling mess to pull out any one actor and hold them fully responsible for the lot.
Well, and I suppose Malchus has told you what type of house we need to build to be secure against these changing winds?
I see you in a stone house, a castle some might call it, as the only secure shelter for you.
There are many noble houses around here built of stone. I'm guessing that you speak of something a tad more regal.
Dreams often speak in metaphors. When I say a house of stone, I don't mean the place you lay your head down at night. I'm not sure what I mean. I see you currently don't live in a house of straw, right? I'm not mistaken here. I haven't been misinterpreting these things as too metaphorical. Your house is not made of straw.
Obviously, my house is not made of straw. Priest, is your job not to interpret these metaphors?
I serve the god of chaos. Interpreting his metaphors are a difficult task. I am only so good.
Well, with answers as frustrating as these, it makes more sense why you wouldn't be able to raise enough coin to have your own temple now, I suppose. Why?
It's a jovial approach.
Why would Malchus communicate to one using a more primitive symbol, or using the first part of an anagram, rather than his actual symbol? Can you think of any reason?
Of course. He does not want to reveal his true presence, who he really is at the moment, but wishes to, be able to make his will known in retrospect. What symbol do you speak of, though?
I guess I'll kind of, I'm using the toe of my boot, I'll just draw it on the ground, the equal sign and then the 0.
Bobs his head up and down. Yes. Yes. If Malchus has been guiding you and showing you these things, then you should heed his advice. It is not easy for a deity to reach down and touch the world when they are not a part of it, when they sit in the celestial sphere. It takes a certain amount of effort. If you have been singled out from a distance, then, my friend, you have been blessed. I hope these symbols have always been in fortuitous times that have brought you goodwill. I hope they have been good omens for you.
Well, they've come alongside some, I guess, good, or sometimes during trials they tend to appear. I think I recall seeing them on at least 3 separate occasions, but... You said you had questions for me.
Abstract questions, which you're sure to hate. I've seen Imric being tempted by many things. Imric is your brother, right? The thin one.
Of course, Imric is indeed my brother, yes.
I've seen him being pulled in many different directions. Women, wine, books, spells, a castle in the sky of his own. He seems to be a man tempted by many, many things. The abstract question is which temptation will draw him away from the fate you need to pick. And clearly that's not a straightforward question. There's no answer. It's Jane. Jane will draw him away. It's more of a, I don't know. He will face many temptations in the future that will lure him from the path Malchus has set out for you. Does that mean anything to you? Is that a suitable question? Not that I need answers. It's important for you to hear these. It's not important for me to know the truth of them.
I think the deeper we get into this conversation, the more these questions become clearer to me. Is there another question you had for me?
Anton. He's the fat one, right? Like me? And he pats his belly.
Not fat. He's husky. He's a warrior.
Right. If Imric may fall to temptation, Anton will be led astray by anger. He has enemies, those he's made and those he will make soon. And his wrath, his frustration, will tip the scales away from the direction you need them to fall. Anton might. Who will incur Anton's wrath such that it brings ruin upon your house? Which big bad wolf will Anton piss off? Or piss on?
I don't think I need the foresight of a god to tell me that that could be a potential problem. What else? Are there any other messages for me?
You, Tyrael. You. It may not seem right that you be the guiding light of your family, you who have spent so much time in shadows, but you are the candle that burns in the night. You are the flickering flame that draws these moths, he motions back in the direction of this capital, to its luster. But you have so little faith. So little faith. What is it you, Tyrael of House McGarry, what is it that you need to be able to guide your siblings and your people to your rightful place?
Well, right now, it seems as though the only thing I need is the power to defend my family and the will to act on it.
You have both of those things, I believe. You've slain Azeron. That shows me you have the power and the will. You've met me here in the woods. You've allowed me to lead you away from society, civilization, into what easily could have been a trap planted for you by Matavan assassins. You seem to have the will to do what is necessary.
Well, it would seem that a man with no needs is probably quite a frustrating target for a god to try to tempt then. Do you have any more questions for me?
No. Only if you are looking for a sign of what is to come. And he takes his toe and draws the 2 lines and the circle in the dirt. Here is the sign.
What am I to do when I see a sign like this? What should I think of this message? Other than Malchus is extending a finger from so far above in the heavens to try to send little old me a message, letting me know that he's watching over me.
What I mean to say is that if you are looking for a sign, then to know that Malchus has your will. He has your back. He has your cooperation in mind.
Is there any way for...
You will not...
Is there any way for a man like me to commune with Malchus? Well, my brother has a very close connection of Elthara, and she seems eager to speak to him. Or so he says. Is there any way for me to communicate with Malchus?
Perhaps his greatest trick he played upon the world was preventing the common man from speaking with the gods.
I interrupt him and I
Having
say,
said-
I am no common man. It was a simple yes or no question. I don't need your explanation behind it.
Then no, Tyrael McGarry. There is no way for you to commune with him but the ways that you can find in your own heart. There is no place in Arcadia you can reach to speak with him.
What about beyond Arcadia? Wait, Arcadia is just this continent, right? The continent that we were at before. Okay, yeah, my question stands, yeah.
Certainly, the world is filled with unusual places. Places of thinness between this realm and the next. In Heatstroke, there is a grand temple that reaches up towards the sky. And on the night of a full moon, the veil there between this world and the celestial sphere is quite thin indeed. There are other places where that veil is weaker yet. Perhaps one of those, someone like yourself might be able to reach out to a deity. But where they are and how to get there is beyond my knowledge. It is a big, big world, Tyrael. Many large worlds. Many planes of existence. Somewhere in all this mess, I'm sure there are the answers you seek. But I don't know if it's worth the travel.
Well, if a god is trying to communicate with me directly, I suppose the least I could do to repay him is make an effort to find a place where I could receive a call. That doesn't really make sense in this timeline, but...
I'm right here. This is the deity communicating with you. I am the vessel. Well, one of them.
I would hope that I could get some communications that aren't so symbol-laden. Forgive me for saying so.
We all wish the gods spoke simply. If they could just only tell us what to do and what to think and how to behave, then we would be able to be their complete and utter pawns. That's no good for anyone. We must have free will. It is necessary for the functioning of society in the world that we each make up our own mind and are not given explicit instructions or directions by them. He looks towards the sky. How could you have free will if a god were standing beside you telling you what to do?
Okay, my nod. I guess this is why I don't really follow this stuff as closely as either my brothers do, or at least Anton. Well, is there anything else you wish from me, or are we free to leave?
You've always been free to leave. But I have no further messages for you.
Okay. Well, I shall escort you back to town then, so that I can protect you from those deadly mystery and spies and assassins should they show up. Let's go.
He will walk with you, and when you get to the inn, he tells you he has a thirst, and he goes into the tavern rather than going all the way back into the city.
Okay. And I'll leave him and I'll head back to the city.
Okay. All right. Make it back to the city, back to your house, or wherever it is that you want to go, or whatever you want to do. So before we take our last break, let's get some decompression on these conversations and concepts. What direction has Tyrael been feel most drawn towards after these chats with spies, assassins, and priests?
I'm trying to figure out why. I think Tyrael sees himself, or likens himself to a Tywin Lannister-esque figure. I'm trying to figure out why he had Joffrey marry to become like royalty. Oh no, his Cersei married to become royalty. I think that the most important thing for Tyrael is the protection of his family, and there is a lot of crazy shit going on right now in terms of assassins, in terms of potential backstabbers on his family, and all of this stuff could potentially be amped up if they were royalty. So the question now is, say we usurp the throne somehow, which is a topic that he hasn't even mentally broached yet. Say they were to do that, are you not just inviting more potential chaos in the future? You know, noble families can exist from one rulership to the next. It is entirely possible that any given king or queen is toppled and the and the noble families continue on as they were. However, when a noble family is dethroned, that family is destroyed and is gone forever. So rising to higher places of power might carry with it a bit more security, but it invites a lot more chaos and potential conflict as well. And I think that's kind of where his mind is drawn, especially as he gets a little bit more involved in looking at how his mom is handling the affairs, at all of the potential threats to his family, at all the different eyes that are prying in, and the people that are trying to bend them from one way to another. It seems as though being an incredibly powerful noble family that command fear and respect, that are hopefully gained through things like killing people in a very obvious way, that are fired for wanting to backstab our family, that type of respect that's carried will be more impactful than trying to be rulers that are going to have so much more going along with it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
That's not to say, though, that being the king might be the better path. It's hard to say, but that's where he's leaning at right now, because right now, for Tyrael, the most important thing is the safety of his family and the survival and the propagation of his family's name.
You know, your family's name, at least on your mother's side, used to be Wick, which is spread far and wide throughout the kingdom. You know,
And
5 principalities, there's the main center kingdom. What if your name was Wick once again?
well, right now, this family name is owned more by these 3 brothers than Wick. I think that part of this mission that Tyrael and his 2 brothers have been going on has been building the McGarry name up from nothing. To have gone through so much effort and pain and the loss of their father and everything to build this name back to some level of respect, and then to abandon it for a mother's maiden name, which I imagine probably carries some dishonor in and of itself, to just change your name and go to another, is probably going to be seen more as like, you know, people will still look at us as McGarrys, but now even worse, like you're trying to change your name to escape your past or whatever. I think it's better to continue to build upon what they've been building on.
Okay. So you don't have any interest in trying to rebrand yourself as the rightful Wick family, the Wick family who has ruled Drekis for 1,000 years. If you guys were to change places or take power, you would rule under the McGarry name?
If we were to take over, we've spent all of our time as unexceptional losers with normal stats, without anything exceptional in our background, building ourselves up and building the McGarry name up. We're not going to ride on the backs of a name that never helped us in our journey to the top. We weren't trained as Wicks, we weren't given arms as Wicks, and we weren't empowered as Wicks. So if we ruled, we wouldn't rule as Wicks, we'd rule as McGarrys.
Interesting. What's the word? Not. It's a very thoughtful stance to take. What would your claim to the throne be? Because the easy claim is that you are the Wick family who is the rightful rulers, and that the next children in line aren't the proper rulers because your mother is the proper queen, yada yada, and to rule as the Wick family. So how would you, just playing out some
That's like when you get that bridge across it. So theoretically, if Tyrael were to consider, we want the throne, then there would be 2 ways to go about it. I think Tyrael is still crossed between his roguish side and his McGarry nobility side, because there are 2 very different ways to approach it. One way to approach it is literally standing before the castle with his 2 brothers and any citizens that feel loyal to the people that have slain Scoria, claiming that they are the rightful rulers, that they were the ones that protected this kingdom and kept it safe, and that they're willing to fight and kill all that they need to in order to assume the rightful position that they opened with the trail of blood behind them. And that would be like the truly noble, heroic, although chaotic, and well, it depends if they win or lose, if it would be heroic or not, right? If they win, then the tails go down as them fighting a heroic battle against a corrupt elite, and they would take them over, and they would rule rightfully after freeing the kingdom from Scoria's clutches. The more subtle way to do it would be to work alongside his mother, to build out roots and connections through all the noble families in the land, through the form of gifts, through the form of influence, like his brother is trying to do with his priests, through more covert means, and it would be to slowly undermine the rule of the queen and then kind of suggest with a wink, like, maybe it's better for you to step aside so that nothing worse happens to you, because it seems as though the kingdom is not happy with where you are. And it would be possible through her declaration to pass on rulership to somebody that already has a weak claim to the throne, rather or lest the kingdom descend into chaos as they continue to grow unhappy with their leadership. That would be like the more covert-y way to do it. But that's also I don't know which way it would go.
That way would require getting the queen on board to hand you the reins of power. The first one seems more like you are taking it.
Yeah.
And okay. Those are the two ways of getting there.
However, Tyrael's not an idiot. Malchus is the god of chaos. Chaos might be an enjoyable activity for a god, but humans do not thrive in chaos, and appeasing any sort of chaotic whim probably is contrary to the nature of protecting a family that has structure, that has hierarchy, that requires order, which all stands absolutely in contrast to chaos. So, just saying, if Malchus wants him to be chaotic, he's gonna have to make a really strong offer, because some weird, sketchy symbols in a wall in some place ain't cutting it. That's not tempting enough, you know? Just saying.
Remember that that trial in the cleric tomb? This one.
Yep, I believe that was the first time I was approached by somebody. They offered me a note, and in that note, I think it was something like, "When the time is right, you need to ascend" or something, and then it had that symbol on it.
In this temple, you saw that Malchus might have multiple perspectives on the same thing, right? One of his statements, "My darling has created a forge in which people are tested, the weak die out, the strong are tempered into greatness." It seems to be very supportive of a dragon, and not so much like, "I need you to cause chaos," but just your position here is chaotic enough to serve my needs. And then the other one is Scoria has long past served her purpose. Her rule stifles creation and dulls the world, and which is more of a I need you to be an agent of change in order for the world not to be so structured. So with this, you can see that
perhaps as a younger
wants you to do something doesn't mean he needs you to just be like zany all the time.
I understand.
Right? Chaos doesn't.
Yeah, there are layers to this, and a more foolish man would see that Scoria has declared it Tyrael's time to rule, and it's time for, or that Malchus has declared it Tyrael's time for rule, and Scoria needs to be ousted, and it's time for the Megari family to shine. However, that sentence could just as easily read to a group of future travelers: the Megaris have long since served their purpose. Their rule stifles creation and dulls the world, and it might be them that needs to be uprooted next for Malchus to be content. So. And I will say that I don't think that any of these gods will mention any of the highest noble families when it comes time to who needs to be ousted or uprooted. So it seems a more secure position for the family would be not necessarily at the very highest, but at the kind of echelon right beneath, maybe.
The kingmakers rather than the kings.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, why don't we take our last break, and then we will come back and sort out our final things.
All right, we'll be back.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Tombs of Scoria. You are back in the city. That conversation that I was going to say happens in a week just happened. So nothing happens in that week of downtime.
Okay.
We just passed another week. So, Tyrael, as we are getting near the end of your solo session and your month here in the capital, you spend your time training with the new master at arms, the new captain of your guard, Winthrop Vandal. You have chatted with your many assistants. Where are they hiding here? And it is time for one more of these various followers to trickle in and arrive. So why don't you roll me another D100?
Please be a human. Fuck dwarves.
All right, Tyrael. You're walking through the streets one day. Maybe you've just gone to the market to get some fresh bread. Maybe you were just stretching your legs. Maybe you were, doing some exercise down at a training ground because you didn't want to do it in your house. Whatever the reason is, on your way back home, you feel a tug at your thigh.
God damn it.
And when you look down, you see a gnome who's trying to pull you into an alleyway.
I'll resist a bit and I'll kind of look around. If it doesn't appear to be dangerous, I'll slide my ring of seeing on. I'll activate that. I imagine I don't see anything too crazy, and I'll follow the gnome.
Just a gnome.
Yeah, I'll follow him into the alleyway.
The gnome takes off his blue newsy cap with a white feather in it, gives you a flourishing bow, and says, "Greetings, Lord McGarry. My name is Mr. Hest, and of all the rogues in the land, I am certainly the best. I have come here to Wicthron Rarenta to make my home because I am the most extraordinary thief you'll ever find within a gnome."
Double check around me, looking very carefully to make sure that there is not anybody within earshot of us.
You know, maybe
And I
if
will-
someone was at the back end of the alley
Yeah.
and listening at the corner of a wall, they could hear you, but they'd have to be like trying to hear you from around a corner.
I'll turn around, I'll come to one knee, but I'll still keep my shoulders up so it looks less like I'm crouching down talking to a child and more as though I'm trying to be eye level in a regal fashion with a gnome. And I'll say, "You've approached me in the streets at a very odd hour. I would hope that you possess a very great power."
Well, don't you see? They always underestimate me. I am perhaps of all time, the best bait. Because as I said, it is I they will always underestimate. Send me against your foes, and you will only hear tales of their woes. They see my short size and stature, and they look at me and they just can't catch her. I'll be one step ahead when my dagger finds them in their bed. I am yours to command, as long as you'll take me as your man.
Well, if you're going to join me, or if you're going to work for me, then join me you must. But certainly you understand that first you must earn my trust.
Why, of course. Do you need me to prove some trial upon a horse? Or is there something you fear that you'd like me to find its source? Do Do you need me to go in some direction, perhaps to the north?
I have 2 men at my hideout. Their names are Hans and Vega. Perhaps we can have a conversation there and figure out some work for you.
The gnome chuckles to himself. Hans and Vega? Vega. I know that name. Why does it sound the same? Is he someone with which I've worked in the past? Is that where I've heard that name last?
Well, he was a very famous member of the family.
Yes, Vega was my, distant cousin. He would always, when I would get to the tavern, you would always buzz me in. Stretch.
Okay, I nod to him. I look over my shoulder again, and I look him in the eyes, and I say, do understand, I will not rhyme in front of others, and I will actually kill you if you tell my brothers. And then I stand, I'll take out, I imagine at this point I should have business cards or something that I can hand this guy to go to my hideout, or I can communicate it through some type of writing or whatever. I don't know how I would, you know.
You can just give him verbal directions.
Oh, sure. Okay, yeah, I can do that, yeah.
Yeah. The gnome agrees to meet you at that place. He seems happy to be able to see Vega again. He didn't know that you and Vega were working together, and he's eager to go see him.
Okay. And it should be easy to validate him if he knows him, so, yeah.
Yeah.
Real quick.
I assume you're gonna... Yeah, go ahead.
Was Montum, was he a rogue or a fighter?
He's a rogue.
Okay, gotcha. And then what level is this guy?
The gnome.
And what's his name?
His name is Mr. Hest. And he has a level equal to 1d6.
We'll see how much shit he was talking. Okay.
Okay.
And he's a rogue, you said?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
When you go, either that night or the next day, whenever it is, to check up on your new friends in the safe house, you get to the door, you open it, you step inside, and Vega whirls on his heel, and his eyes go pretty... I don't want to rhyme. His eyes get big.
Yeah.
His eyes get big, and he says, "What the hell?"
I shrug my shoulders and I say, seems like we might need to get a bigger place soon. But the more the merrier, right? There is strength in numbers.
His face makes a sour look.
Believe me, Vega, I understand. I hate talking to these types of people, to these gnomes as much as anybody else, but do him the courtesy and perhaps he'll be useful, you know? I don't think there's anything wrong with gaining a greater mastery over the Drakisian language, yeah?
Yeah, sure, that's all fine and dandy, but while our numbers are so small, that means I gotta work with this guy on like a practically daily basis. Do you understand what you're asking of us?
Well, he's a rogue. I don't know. Send him undercover.
Jesus. I don't know if we have enough work for him.
Well,
We need to keep him busy around the clock.
Yeah, I mean, we need to figure something out. You guys are sitting here idling, draining my pockets.
Hey, didn't you get an amulet of something, health, of constitution, parapet?
Of course, I
We've
did.
earned a couple of days of downtime.
Well, you earned the handsome sum of gold that I paid you for your work. I do appreciate it, of course. Vega, my dear brother. Brother spoken in that quote-unquote family way, of course.
Right.
I don't really know.
Perhaps it's time to discuss future plans. and services.
I nod. Now, with your time in the family, there are many routes unseen that you guys would use to ship supplies, people, servants
Oh yeah.
from one area to another. Here's my next mission that I have for you. Somewhere in Heatstroke, there's said to be an altar where the distance between this plane and the celestial one is thinner than it would be otherwise. The barrier is more, I guess, perforated, or whatever language these clerics speak in.
Yeah. Yeah, everyone talks about the big ass pyramid in Heatstroke and how it's all holy and shit.
Now, this is a bit of an odd one, and I'm apologizing for that. But do you think that there's a way that you could secure safe passage? Tyro's trying to think if it's just for himself or himself and his two brothers. Maybe for me and two companions, to see if we can get to that area safely for a bit. Or where is this pyramid? Is it in a dangerous location? Are there going to be millions of demons crawling around in this area? Or
the pyramid in the heart of Heatstroke? Yeah, that's in Eridon, isn't it? That's
is that the one? Is that the same one we went inside, or is this a different one? Oh,
that is the same one you were inside.
so there are going to be a million monsters there.
Yeah. Getting to Eridon these days is pretty hard, right? Because you either got to go around the southern coast, or you got to go like into Mystria, and then cross the canals there.
Well,
So
is there like is there word on that assault or whatever was going on, or wasn't there people trying to erect towers and stuff? That should be done by now, right?
the containment field around that stuff has all been accomplished and done.
So they're just contained. They're not like dying in there, right?
No one really knows. There's a dearth of knowledge about that place at this point in time.
Okay. Well, if that's the pyramid, I don't really need to secure travel there because I'd probably just sail, huh? Like we did before.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Sail on a ship. They say a great kraken lurks near Whiteshore off the southern coast of Eridon. Sank half the fleet at the start of the war. Some of the best knights with the best armor, best weapons, best training sank to the depths of the ocean. I've always thought to myself, a good way to make a bunch of money would be to get to the bottom of the ocean and recover those corpses, get that armor, get those magic items that are there, whatever gold might have sunk with them. I mean, hell, just the weapons and armor alone would be worth a fortune. You might have to rub some rust off of it, but magic things don't rust very well.
Is there any way in medieval times to go to the bottom of an ocean to retrieve stuff? How do you even do that?
You would need some sort of magic, some sort of water-breathing spell to do it. And then, you know, complications, underwater monsters are going to be way harder to fight, as you guys have experienced. And it was sunk by some sort of giant kraken, so maybe all the ships have been consumed. Maybe the bodies are resting on the lair of the kraken's nest. You know, untold dangers await beneath the oceans if that is a route someone wants to take. But Vega muses on it and how much money there is down there because half a fleet sank. Anyway, sounds like getting to Eridon isn't that hard. So,
That's not what I need them for, then.
how can we best serve you? We've been keeping an eye on you, and we've been keeping an eye out for anything else we can learn about Arc Somber. All that has gone more or less as well as it could have. We've gotten a few bits of information back from some people that knew him earlier in life, but nothing worth saying. Family's all dead long ago. We haven't seen anyone following you since that night showed up. He left town, by the way. Day after we spoke. Split. Haven't seen him since.
Which guy left town?
The night that was talking about stealing swords and whatnot.
Good. I pulled out my last
Yeah.
vial of poison. No, I'm just kidding. You know what? I sacrificed a luck stone and I cast a divination and I asked what would be best to have. No, I'm just kidding. I'll shrug my shoulders and I'll say, well, I guess stay sharp, keep your wits about you. Try to think of something before the end of the day to let you guys have a new project to work on. I would like to talk to Hest for a minute, though, if I could.
He bobs his head up and down, walks over to a trash can on the other side of the room that has been placed underneath a chair that Hans is sitting in, and gets Hans to get up and pulls the trash can out from under the chair and opens the lid, and out pops the gnome, shaking an angry little fist at him. Ah, McGarry! You're here to save me! Please don't tarry! These fiends have kept me in a vessel! And it is with them that I now wish to wrestle. Avast! And he starts caging around the guys if he's gonna wrestle Vega, even though he's, a fifth his size.
I shake my hands, I follow Minnie again. Mr. Hest, me and my brothers intend to travel to Nome, which, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe is your home. With gnomes, I must speak. I need them to cooperate. Do you think there's a trick to how we might conversate?
When you speak with gnomes, you must be careful not to make any sort of verbal fart. If your language is shitty, then they won't think you're very smart. My people respect above all that quality of intellect. So, when it comes to conversation, your word choice you should not neglect.
Think for a moment.
Aside from that, the people from which I spawn are, empty in the head, almost gone. Their minds are filled with idle adulation. They prefer to tinker and fuss about, much to the chagrin of fucking everybody. They're so weird. Fucking gnomes, he says. The reason I left home.
Okay, I nod my head. So they wouldn't be evil or try to play any tricks. As long as my brothers are nice to them, pretty sure they won't be dicks.
He nods his head up and down. They're very self-serving and very self-centered. It's one of our weaker points.
Okay. Thank you very much. I appreciate your advice.
That and smoking joints.
Yeah. Thank you very much. I appreciate your advice. I look over to Vega and Hans. I say, I'm sure that after I leave, these two will play nice. And I will get up, and I will give a knowing smile to Vega, and I will leave.
Come on, I'm not the size of race. Come on, fight me. I'll be nice. Get over here. And you can hear some struggling and some knocking over furniture as you exit. And when you get downstairs, you'll find Montem standing on the corner smoking a cigarette. And he gives you a respectful bow of his head without trying to look indifferent to you in a public setting.
Okay. I'll leave. Is there anything else planned, or can I do a couple other things?
Yeah, go ahead, do your other things.
Can I go to a scholar or I think a scholar? Are there other anagrams for other godly people? Kind of like how the Malchus thing has a 1, 2, 3. Do those exist for other gods that anybody would know about? If the scholar doesn't know, then I would go and ask a cleric of another god.
Certainly each god will have different ways of disguising their symbols. Mm-hmm. There's specific god who you would like to have a disguised symbol for, which isn't to say that each deity only has one, right?
Sure.
Each deity could find multiple ways of disguising their holy symbol.
The god.
So what are you looking for in particular?
Who's the god of order? What's his name?
Astaire.
Astaire. Can I ask if Astaire has alternate symbols?
He's the one who doesn't, because he is about being upfront. He's about law and order and things being clear and well-defined, and he would never stoop to hide his influence, ever. He would never try to, do some shit behind the scenes and not, reveal himself for who he is. He's this god who will be in your face, upfront about who he is all the time, and very insistent that he knows the right way and the right course of action. He's probably the only one.
What about
who wouldn't hide that shit.
Nadinus? Would they have alternative symbols or anything?
Yeah. Totally. Nadinus, goddess of nature, has the greatest variety of holy symbols. You guys recognize her holy symbol as a leaf, but that same constellation of stars that makes a leaf, according to other traditions around the world, might be shaped as a raindrop, because the same sort of outline could also make a raindrop if you just rearrange the lines ever so slightly.
Okay.
It could also be arranged as a snowflake. All sorts of like very normal, ordinary, natural things would be a symbol for Nadinus. A more hidden symbol of Nadinus, for example, would be like the veins on a leaf. If you just like had, let me give a quick doodle over here. Not doing the whole veins on a leaf, but to the right of the F of on Tombs of Scoria, might be like something like this, where you've got like half of the right side and half of the left
I
side.
understand. Okay, I would like to get a collection of 4 of these symbols, of these lesser known symbols from the other gods. More kind of sort of obscurish ones, if I can do that.
Yeah, so do you want to collect symbols for all the deities?
No,
And
just like
have multiple.
just 4 of the kind of lesser known ones. Like, unless you really study these people, you probably wouldn't know these. Not that they're like super secret or covert, but like they'd show up like on they'd be like an $800 Jeopardy question. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Got it.
Yeah, I want to grab these. Could I have another conversation with Arc Somber once again early in the morning?
Yeah, let me just make some notes. Okay. You can go again and meet with Arc Somber one morning near the end of your month. Your brother is at home working on the final vocalizations of his spell when you arrive at Arc Somber's place. She has not been expecting you. Her servant is out this morning already. I'm sorry, not servant. Apprentice is out this morning already, going off and doing miscellaneous things. So she will take the time to boil some water before allowing you to really speak, making a pot of tea, pouring a cup for you, a cup for her, putting out some biscotti, and then finally taking her seat across the small breakfast table from you.
I nod, I greet her again. So Amric is here right now, practicing in the corner or whatever?
No, Imric is at your house.
He's putting
on the final
okay,
touches.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Cramming is what you mean to say.
Yeah.
No, okay. I nod, I sit, and I say, Arc Somber, I bring you more puzzles. I reach into my pocket, and I produce several pieces of parchment. I say, well, what have you of these symbols? Any idea what any of these mean? I feel like I'm coming across more of these recently.
She looks at them. She shakes her head. No.
I want to.
With strange doodles. Are you sure you're not being tricked by someone?
Can I regard her carefully and see if I can detect if she's lying or anything?
Yeah, give me that charisma check. She does honestly seem to not understand the markings you're making for her.
Okay. Okay, I shrug and I say, I think we're getting a lot of strange mail recently, and it's quite frustrating. I'm probably just thinking too much into this. After that assassin attempted to stab my brother, I think I'm just becoming paranoid. I shake my head. Sorry for wasting your time. I'll go to Clurtis with these questions instead, so that I'm not intruding on your breakfast. I'm sorry. Anything else? Or am I good to go?
She looks at the tea, which has been unsipped, the biscotti, which has been unmunched upon, the welcome platter she has laid out, expecting a long conversation, and gets to her feet and walks to the door and opens it for you. Good day, Lord Tyrael.
Okay.
And I hope you find what you're looking for in these symbols.
All right. And
Long live the Queen.
Long live the Queen. And I leave. So I guess my goal was I wanted to collect a whole bunch of like symbols of like lesser known symbols. And if she's able to identify like all of these like pretty quickly, it means she probably knew what the chaos one was, but she wasn't willing to say that she knew, which means she was keeping something from me, which I would have confronted her on. But if she truly genuinely doesn't know any of these, which I don't know if she would because she's not a cleric, then she's probably not concealing anything. Or maybe she is and she's a really, really good liar, so. But okay.
Yeah, either she's an amazing liar because you rolled a 28, or she honestly is just into the arcane and not the divine, doesn't give a shit what the gods' alternative symbols are.
Okay, then I head back to my house for more training, and the only other thing I can think of is thinking of something for all of my duders to do. But otherwise, is there anything else?
Let me take a look at what else I have written down. Okay, we've gotten through the two new people. Sorry. We did your letters, handmaiden, cleric of Malchus, the former knight of the Roseblade. We did training with captain of the guard. Sylvia and Benji are learning their Dracissian. Let's see. We did the Nadinus thing. Those don't apply to you. We did the wish roll shopkeeper. There is one other thing. A few days later, Hans will come to see you one night. He will throw a rock at your door, at your window, late in the night when he can like spot you by your window, probably blowing out a candle, just about to go to bed or something. And he'll throw a couple of small stones at your window until he catches your attention. Gives you like a come downstairs, I need to talk to you motion.
Well, see him from the window. I'll activate my ring of seeing to make sure there's not somebody invisible around him, like holding him hostage or something. I assume I see nothing, and then I walk down to him.
Yep. You will walk down to him, and he will say, "Hey, you told us to come to you if we heard anyone speaking about your family." Well, there's a person. There's a woman.
What woman is this?
I haven't caught her name yet, but she's talking about this this cloak I've seen you wearing, the one with the cheetah print on it.
Yeah?
She claims it belongs to her.
What is this woman's name? You don't know yet?
Haven't gotten the name, but she was openly talking about it.
Did we pull this cloak from one of our first tombs? Or where did we get this from?
Let's see. The cloak of the cheetah, Where did you get the cloak of the cheetah? I don't remember exactly where you got it off the top of my head.
People are saying from the tomb where we fought the kobolds, but I'm pretty sure that cloak was torn and we couldn't use it because we thought it was a cloak of protection. I remember that. So I don't think we got their cloak.
Here we go. This was...
People are saying the Tomb of Babylon, but I don't remember that at all.
Ooh, I think it was the Tomb of Babylon. Oh my god, am I full of crap here? They go through the passage, identify... Did I get this mixed up? First, lists several other potential magic items believed to be in the tomb, including a ring of reaction, ring of protection, wand of magic missiles, a cloak of the cheetah, robes of protection. Yeah, this belonged to Babylon, and that's definitely where you got it. And this woman is going about saying it is her family's cloak. This is clearly a lie. You know that you didn't steal this from anyone, and that the Tomb of Babylon had been sealed for hundreds of years. So this woman, unlike the previous person, is literally just slandering you.
Okay. Where does she spread these lies?
one of my favorite places. It's a tavern known as Dirty Thieves. Some people call it Blind Cat.
Well, suppose I have to pay a visit to another person.
I just came from there. She's there right now.
Well, perhaps I'll head there now then and see what's going on. Has she been talking long? Like for many days, or?
She was talking when I showed up about half an hour ago.
Okay, well, I appreciate you telling me this. Thank you very much.
Shall I show you to the place?
Just describe it to me and I'll head there.
He gives you directions.
And
then he says he'll go off to a different tavern while you take care of your business.
I will head there.
Excellent. As you walk through the streets, you will catch sight of Arksomber's apprentice, still invisible. Your ring of true seeing is still active because it goes for
30
a
minutes.
turn. Yeah. So you will catch sight of the invisible apprentice, an armful of some sort of bag with stuff in it, kind of just like running through the streets invisibly in the middle of the night.
Whoa, but not following me.
Not following you, unrelated to you, just like bolting through the streets in the dead of night.
Okay, I understand. All right, I'll continue to head. What does it look like he has in his bag of stuff?
That's just a big bag with, sort of shapeless mass wrapped in his arms.
Is he like running in the middle of the street, or?
Yeah, it's the nighttime, so the streets are empty. So he's just going down the middle of the street, bags headed towards the castle.
Do I see him coming towards me?
No, he was like going across your path.
As I kind of walk, I'll just kind of speak loudly. I don't know if she's told him that we're aware of him or not, but I'll just kind of speak loudly. And I'll say, one would be foolish to rely only on invisibility to keep one hidden from prying eyes. And I'll just keep walking.
You can see the cleric, the apprentice, slow to a stop and look over his shoulder, do a quick look around, and then look at you and cock his head to the side and points to himself.
I don't even look at him, I just keep walking.
All right, well, then you lose the pantomime he continues with, and you lose track of him.
Okay.
Soon you arrive at Blind Cat or Dirty Thieves, or whatever you want to call it.
How long is this walk? This is important.
15 minutes.
Okay, because that ring of seeing is 30 minutes, and it's potential for there to be a trap, so I'm ensuring that that's still active.
You'd have about 10 minutes of it left when you arrive.
Gotcha. Okay. I make my way to the tavern.
Yeah. It lives up to its reputation. It's not a particularly lively place. There are plenty of folks in it, but they're all sort of hunched around tables, speaking in low tones, giving glares to anyone who dares approach them too closely. You notice no wait staff whatsoever. Everyone must get to the bar themselves. There's a loaded crossbow hanging on the wall behind the bartender, ready to be fired. You can see there are 3 bouncers in the place, one outside the front door, one inside the front door, and then one near a back door, an internal door, not leading outside the tavern. The one on the front of the door inside wears chainmail all the way up and down and carries a short sword at his side. The one outside just has a big-ass club. And as you approach, he looks like he's about to block your path, but then he carefully regards your face and gives you the nod that lets you know that he knows who you are and that you're welcome.
Okay.
And lets you pass.
I will pass, looking for the lady, see if she's still running her mouth.
Yeah, you can search around for a little bit. When some folks start giving you some looks, there's a table, and you're a trained rogue. You know when people are trying to look surreptitiously, and you're in an environment where you're paying extra attention to the sort of physical mannerisms of individuals that you catch sight of people at this table throwing a quick look over their shoulder at you from time to time, and you get the impression that either you are being talked about at that table or were recently a topic of conversation at that table, because they've got eyes for you, Tyrael.
Cool. I will approach them.
As you approach the table, the conversation goes quiet. There are 2 men and 3 women here. And the 3 women are sort of like on the far side of the table sitting together, and the 2 men are on your side of the table, so the men's backs are to you. But as you approach, they each like lean back a little bit to view at you from between them.
As I approach the table, I will speak loudly to them. I've come here on a mission of peace. I've heard that there's been a great misunderstanding. Somebody seems to be under the false assumption that the cloak that I wear actually belongs to them. I'm here to clear up any misunderstandings that somebody might have about that.
There's a low ooh coming from some of the people at the table on either side as their attention turns to this.
Who do they look at?
Very. They look at this one woman seated in the middle of the pack of 3 on the far side of the table. She's Let me make a quick roll over here. She is tiny. She's like 4'9", maybe like 80 pounds soaking wet. She's she's the shortest human you've ever seen that's like full grown adult. She's definitely in her late 20s, early 30s.
Any magical items?
No magical items on her.
Cool.
And she's got a goblet in one hand that she's swirling with wine. And then she raises it and goes, "That's me! And you've got my cloak."
What, little lady, possesses you to claim that this cloak is your own? Wait, roll hotness. Is she noble? Does she speak noble? Or does she speak with an air of nobility?
Five hotness.
Oh, okay.
The 1, and 3.
Never
and
mind.
no, she does not speak with an air of nobility.
I thought I could make Mother happy, but not with this woman. Never mind.
It's mine because that was stolen from my family 20 generations ago. It's been handed down in family lore, and it rightly belongs to us. It was made for us. There's only one of them, one of a kind. Ancient magic item. Without it, my family fell into ruin, and here I am, sitting in this dirty piece of shit tavern.
Are you trying to tell me that all that stood between your family and ruin was a fine cloak that looks like it was made of the body of a cheetah?
I'm telling you, you born with a silver spoon in your mouth, hoity-toity noble who thinks he's cool, that my family was robbed, stolen, knocked from their place as leaders of important towns in Drekis, and what you've taken rightfully belongs to me. She sits back, comfortable that her words have had a significant impact on you.
I laughed for a moment. Oh god, she's so ugly. Never mind. That changes a lot how we approach this. I regard her. I stand. And I say that this cloak was not taken from your family by me, who owned it between your family and my family. Is of no business to me. It's obvious that when I came across this, your family didn't own it. For all I know, your family sold this cloak to save their failing household, to prevent them from falling into ruin, to prevent them from having disgusting, ugly children like yourself. How am I to know that your family didn't attempt to sell this cloak because they couldn't get any money for you?
Search your histories, Tyrael McGarry. My family used to own Berkshire. We were the barons and baronesses of Berkshire hundreds of years ago. We were brought low by some fell wizard who happens to have made himself an important person. He burned our house. He stole our goods. He killed my great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandparents. And he took their stuff, including the cloak of the cheetah that was made for us 5 generations before that. It's rightfully mine.
You have a lot of present
Started as
confidence.
ours.
You have a lot of present confidence for somebody that speaks with a lot of past tense of verbs. Surely you understand that not everything in every land will be returned to every original owner. It makes no sense. People trade, people sell and buy things all the time. Items move from one family's hands to another. What right do you have to sit here in this bar and impugn me for an item that I rightfully possess just because your family made some foolish mistakes aeons ago and lost this cloak?
Stolen property is still stolen property. It's the law. Doesn't matter if you steal it and sell it to someone else. If they're found in possession of stolen property, it's still stolen and it still goes back to the rightful owners.
Well, if it is indeed the law, then I encourage you. Are there courts?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
if it is...
the court is like, you go talk to the queen and she holds court,
Sure.
or whoever happens to be your local lord.
Well, if it is indeed the law, then I welcome you to go and talk to the local lord and we can settle it out before him. But I won't have my name dragged through the streets in bars like this by the likes of you because of wrongs that may or may not have been done to your great-great-great-great-great-great-great-great-grandfather.
You know there's no justice to be found in the world. The nobles protect their own, and you, with your remote kinship with the queen, are surely to be looked upon favorably by any court. I doubt anyone would give me the time of day, much less an opportunity to see justice.
I shrug my shoulders.
I know about your brother, cleric of vengeance, not related to justice in the slightest. It's not surprising to me that you would align yourself with such a deity rather than one who would clearly have your downfall in mind.
I shrug my shoulders and I say, well, if justice in the courts isn't what you seek, and then I place my hand on the hilt of my sword, is it perhaps justice on the streets then that you desire? Because that sounds suspiciously like a threat to me. I don't appreciate being threatened by the likes of you.
I don't know if it's the alcohol has made her brave, but she gets up, stands on her chair, all 4'9" of her, wields her metallic goblet in one hand and waves it in your direction, wine splashing across the table to maybe land on you. I don't know. It's a splash attack. Oh yeah, wine just kind of like coming in your direction like a big horizontal line, spraying the whole area, catching some people on either side of you as well. You threaten me? All right, big man, take your best shot, she says, standing on a chair on the other side of the table in the tavern, which goes very quiet as she tells you to take your best shot at her.
Okay. I call to the bouncer and I say, bouncer, this woman knows not what she says. I believe she's had too much to drink. Perhaps it would be best to escort this not such a lady to wherever she sleeps tonight.
Bouncer gets up, the one by the back door, not the one by the front door, gets up, comes on over, stands near the table, and says, Miss, it's probably in your best health to leave now. He makes a nod towards the door. And she says, another lackey of the nobility of the ruling class, here to push around the little man. I see how it goes. She hops off her chair, comes around the table, spits on your shoes. Unless you're not You're not wearing your cloak of displacement or your displacement armor at this point,
No.
are you?
Nope,
You're wearing
I
your
wouldn't
blue
travel.
dragon armor. Okay.
She
Cool.
spits on my shoes.
Yeah. She spits on your boots.
I give her an open-handed slap across the face.
Give me a roll to hit.
Okay, wait.
D20 plus your fighter level -1.
What is the damage on a slap?
Oh, 0. 1 at best.
Okay, I'm rolling 1d20 plus what?
Whatever your basic on your character sheet. There's a basic attack button under the combat tab on the top right.
Combat attack.
Yeah,
Though it says
basic
melee.
attacks, melee. Yeah. It is a critical slap to the face. She spins round, all 76 pounds of her, whirling on the sloppy floor, landing in between chairs, underneath someone's table, with a thud. And then you can hear the ground get all sticky as she tries to peel herself off of it. The chuckling of the crowd around you as the tavern returns to a more normal drone of laughter and conversation. The bouncer grabs her by one foot and begins to drag her out of the bar as she kicks and screams, "Tyrael McGarry! You haven't heard the last of me! I'll get you! I'll get you!" As she gets dragged out of the bar. Her companions double over laughing, thinking that this is a fine time and a good show.
Okay. As she leaves, I still have a pretty solemn look on my face. And I will, and I'll tell her friends and I'll say, it's probably best for her health that she learns to purse her lips, I'd say. Obviously, I don't want to cut down somebody in the middle of a tavern, but she surely must know that she can't stand out here and impugn a noble family without being punished in some way, of course.
Their laughter fades very quickly. Their faces sober up. They give you solemn nods of understanding and make polite excuses to be able to leave.
No. I see him getting up and I remove from my pocket my coin purse. I'll take 5 gold out, I'll place it on the table, and I'll say, have another round of drinks on me. Of course, I mean no harm. I don't want any harm to come to your friend. That's why I suggest that you guys help her learn to speak a bit more properly in public about other noble families. That's all I ask.
They ease back down into their chairs. In this time, you are absolutely right. Noble families' honors are beyond reproach. If you are a knight, you are legally not obligated, but permitted to dispense justice up to, but not including maiming or disfigurement. But you can imprison someone. Mm-hmm. So talking shit about noble families is very easy, just to get you thrown in jail. Easily, or even worse, if the amount of shit you talk is bad enough. Sure. You can be locked into jail for life, or even have hands removed or whatnot. Mm-hmm. So these threats you're leveling are very in line with the culture.
Yeah, I would imagine so. Yeah. And then I'll leave the bar? Do I see her outside being dragged away or whatever?
Yeah, you exit through the same area. She is standing some feet away, trying to wiping off some of the grime on her arms. Mm-hmm. As you step out of the tavern, back into the city streets at night, and she meets your gaze as you step out. She looks around and picks up a small rock and tosses it up and down in her hand, catching it and tossing it again.
I tell her, had you run across a different McGarry tonight, there's a good chance that your head and body would be leaving here in separate pieces.
Wants to say something to you, but you're much bigger than her. You're much stronger than her, and you're a world-renowned fighter and dragon slayer, and she has a small rock. This is not her moment. She thinks wiser of it. Steps back, giving you plenty of room to walk away from the bar, but still giving you your time will come, Tyrael McGarry.
Is there, so
advise
wait,
you return what you've taken.
so her family used to be noble and it's no longer noble?
That's what she is saying. Which does happen from time to time. Sometimes people get knocked down out of nobility. Usually there's some sort of dishonor that's been done, some sort of like great catastrophe. Or sometimes a family just sort of disappears and, you know, maybe she married into a commoner family somehow, which is difficult to do in this time. The structure here is made, you usually marry up. So it's hard to marry down in this setup that we have here. But it is possible.
Okay.
Your mother did it, for example.
I see that she's still obviously upset. I'll take a few steps, a few long strides, and I'll begin to close the gap between us. And as I get a bit closer, I'd like to draw my sword. As it comes out of its hilt, glows faintly in the darkness. Or I don't know how dark it is. I don't know what phase of the moon it is. And I will flip my sword around, holding onto the sharp edge, and I will offer it to her. I'll say, if you'd like, I'll let you take a single swing. You can fell me.
Yeah?
Yeah, if you fell me, you can reclaim your cloak. Be on our way. Otherwise...
Which sword are you handing her?
The Moonblade. Platinum. I don't know how heavy this is. I don't expect her to even be able to hold it, but I'll hand it to her. Or I'll extend it to her.
She reaches out. Yeah, she takes hold of the hilt.
I'll let go of it.
She takes a step back and kind of like swings it around a little bit, trying to find the right balance for it. Does like a flourish here. Flourish there, regards you very carefully. Takes another step back, raises it above her head, and then turns and runs the other way.
Really?
Yep.
As
she runs through the city streets holding your +5 sword.
Gotcha. Well, as she runs through the city streets, I will, like the Flash, just zip right by her and appear in front of her, basically, using my Cloak of the Cheetah. And I'll ask her.
You're wearing it this whole time.
I am wearing it, of course, yeah. Not wearing my...
Okay, because earlier you had talked about walking around wearing like a big cloak that fully covers you, not simply a cape.
Oh, that was the one time I did that was because I wanted to unveil my blue dragon armor in front of that night guy, and I didn't want him to know that I had it on it before I started to posture against him.
Okay.
I could theoretically run with my boots of spring and striding too, but...
Yeah, you can catch up and pass her and corner her from the other side. And she pauses.
And I'll say, did you not forget what you came here for?
Using my family's equipment against me, huh?
I'll just reach in front of her. Can I grab her wrist to grab the sword?
You can attempt to do so, but that would provoke an attack of opportunity from her.
Okay. I will provoke an attack of opportunity as I reach to grasp her wrist.
Yeah, that she was going to make an attack against you anyway.
Okay.
That's for the magic of the sword. She only has a +1 to hit because she is a low-level rogue. And as the sword comes up and comes down, you can see it's not coming for your body. She is aiming for your back. She is trying to come around and like slash through your Cloak of the Cheetah.
Okay.
So it's a called shot. It's a hard called shot because she's trying to hit like this big floppy thing that's sort of behind you. So she's like stepping to the side and slashing that way. If only it had been a natural 20. No, the sword comes up. You dodge out of the way. You can make your unarmed attack against her now to grab her wrist. It's a basic melee attack, same as before. Ooh.
She's really small. I go to reach. I'm expecting like a full-size person, but I'm too high. I'm not aware. She's like a gnome, basically. However, second attacks.
Next round, I think none of you are dual wielding, so
I don't get a second attack with my hand.
You would have had to declare you were dual wielding multiple handed attacks because then you get penalties for dual wielding.
Oh my god. Okay, fine.
You know.
Next round, we roll initiative. 1d10 plus.
Yeah, we roll initiative.
3.
For you, it's 3. For her, it's 5 because it's a magic sword. She will probably go fast. Yeah. This time she goes for the killing blow. She just tries to drive the sword into your body. With a 13. I think you're wearing armor or something, right?
Yeah, I don't even know if that means my natural AC, but...
yeah.
Okay, I'll do one. It's another melee attack to grab her wrist and take the sword.
Yes, and it provokes an attack of opportunity to do so.
Okay.
You will grab her, but I think she will also... Did you wear your armor out?
If I'm moving like normally, I probably am going to be wearing my Rohana's armor. That's what I wear instead of the.
But we had just mentioned that you didn't have it on in the tavern.
Yeah, well, sure. So for here, I probably would not. I would just have like my. No, fuck. That's not true. I would have some form of armor on because there's been a literal assassination attempt. I don't think I would ever go out completely unarmored. So I think I would have had my Rohana's armor on. It would be so stupid for me to walk around unarmored.
Not your blue dragon scale?
I could do that, yeah, sure. Maybe that I'm using temporarily. I don't
because
normally
that's what you were wearing
Sure.
earlier. That makes sense.
Okay.
Perfect. The sword clatters against your armor. You make a grab attack. You get hold of her wrist. And then an opposed strength check to wrench the weapon free.
Okay.
She rolls a natural 19. I don't know what her strength is, but she's only 4'9", so she can't be that strong.
Ooh, I think there's actually penalties at certain heights for strength. And 2e. I think there are. Are there? Maybe they're not.
There's not, but there should be.
I think there are racial penalties for it. She's not even a human at 4'9".
There are racial
okay?
penalties. Yeah, I was gonna roll her 4d6, drop the highest for her strength score.
Okay.
Because she's so small. So 3, 6, 7, and 19 is a 26 to your 27. You barely wrench it out of her hand. You twist it, it comes back out. She stands disarmed before you in the middle of the street, late at night, outside the tavern known as Dirty Thieves. Technically, she's attacked a noble.
She has.
You are well within your rights to end her life right here.
I hold
legally
the
speaking.
blade towards her. She lays on the ground in shame. I will sheathe my sword. Say, I could cut you down where you lay right now. But I don't fancy myself a murderer of women, especially not one as weak and brittle as you. If I find you dragging my name through these streets again, though, I won't be as kind next time, or I might send another McGarry. So, suggest you be careful. If not for your own well-being, at least for the well-being of the family members you have left.
Her eyes narrow. She knows she's got literally no legs to stand on here. Rolls over in the dirt, gets to her feet, and scuffs off, head bowed, tail between her legs.
Good.
Disappearing into the night.
Okay. Back home? Good? Done?
Back
Everything?
home. Yep. I think that is all that I have set up for you. If there's any last things that Tira would like to do without anyone around?
Nope, I think that's good. I think that's about everything. Yep.
Okay. That will be it.
All right, we'll be back tomorrow with a normal episode. Same time as everything? Yep.
Same place, same time. And we'll see the party in Nome. Tyrael wearing gold dragon armor, trying to fight green dragons and giants and wyverns. So am I.
And basilisks and everything. Every single monster in the game, yeah.
Just have to throw a boule and a Tarask at you, and it'll be fine.
True. Okay, well, thanks a lot, everybody. We'll be back next week. Or not next week. We'll be back tomorrow. Normal time. Full episode. Cool.
Yep.